Yeah, DJ Tickles, that's a throwback.
Yes,
Fresh off the boat. Great mixes. Unfortunately, that's all we have time for.
So if you missed the show or you just want to listen to the magic again, it'll be replayed on Friday, 2 p.m. PNG time. But you can find all of our episodes on the Radio Australia website or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
That's all here.
Bye there.
Can You Be More Pacific? An ABC sport production for ABC Radio Australia.
This program has been funded by the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade.
ABC News. Good evening, I'm Susie Rains. Heavy machinery is being brought in to clear a track to where a helicopter carrying 5 people crashed north of Melbourne this morning. Nicole Asher reports from Mount Disappointment.
Police have confirmed a pilot and 4 passengers were on board the helicopter when it crashed in thick bushland at Mount Disappointment this morning. It had been flying in convoy with a second helicopter which landed safely at Mangalore nearby. This morning, emergency crews spent hours scouring the mountainside for the wreck, spotting it from the air just before midday. Emergency crews were winched down to the site to search for survivors. Police say they're now speaking with the next of kin. It's expected officers and recovery teams will be at the site for some time yet.
Opposition leader Anthony Albanese will pledge $2.5 billion to improve the underfunded and understaffed aged care sector. Political reporter Noor Haider has more.
The opposition leader will use his budget reply speech to unveil Labor's new aged care policy and accuse the coalition of failing to improve the sector during its 3 terms in government. Mr Albanese will promise to back and fund a wage rise for aged care staff if a Labor government is elected in May. Under Labor's policy, aged care facilities would have to have a registered qualified nurse on site at all times. Residents would get a minimum of 215 minutes of care each day, and new mandatory nutrition standards will be introduced to ensure residents receive quality food.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has used an address to Australia's Parliament to call for more support, including powerful new sanctions on Russia and Bushmaster armoured vehicles. Tom Lowry reports from Parliament House.
President Zelensky has thanked Australia for its support so far and asked for more. He wants powerful new sanctions placed on Russia to deter any nuclear threat, and through an interpreter has asked for more military equipment too.
Most of all, we have to keep those who are fighting against this evil armed.
He specifically requested Australian-made Bushmaster armoured vehicles used by the Australian military and other militaries around the globe. And he's warned Moscow's nuclear capability is a threat to countries well beyond Ukraine's borders, including Australia.
Desperate attempts are being made to rescue thousands of civilians in the besieged Ukrainian city of Mariupol amid a fragile truce between Russian and Ukrainian troops. Tom Major reports.
A convoy of Ukrainian buses has set out for the southern city of Mariupol to try to reach civilians trapped by Russian forces. A Ukrainian deputy prime minister says the International Red Cross had confirmed that Russia agreed to open a humanitarian corridor to the besieged port. The International Committee of the Red Cross and the UN's Refugee Agency will assist with the operation. Previous attempts to establish a ceasefire in Mariupol have collapsed amid accusations of bad faith from both sides. An estimated 5,000 civilians are thought to have lost their lives in the Russian bombardment.
An Australian journalist accused by China of passing intelligence to foreigners has been tried in secret 3-hour hearing in Beijing. East Asia correspondent Bill Birtles has more.
The closed trial for Chinese state TV journalist Cheng Lei lasted less than 3 hours. She was brought to the court in head-to-toe PPE despite Beijing recording no new COVID cases. Her lawyer isn't permitted to share any details of the case and doesn't know when a verdict is likely, nor did Chinese authorities allow Australian diplomats access to the court. Cheng Lei has already been behind bars for 19 months. The crime of passing intelligence or state secrets usually carries a 5 to 10 year sentence in China, but varies widely depending on the severity of the alleged crime. Bill Birtles, ABC News, Taipei.
Comedian Chris Rock has performed his first stand-up gig since being assaulted by fellow actor Will Smith at this week's Oscars ceremony. The attack has led to calls for Smith to be stripped of his Academy Award for Best Actor. Attendees at the gig in the US city of Boston say Rock didn't mention the incident apart from a brief acknowledgement of the controversy.
Everybody was waiting for him to talk about what happened on Sunday night, and he was just classy about it. And he made a joke out of it. He's like, "Did everybody have a good weekend?" Yeah, he came out and he said, I'm still processing, like, kind of what happened.
To the weather, there's a severe weather warning for damaging winds for the Gippsland areas. Damaging wind gusts will develop over eastern and central ranges later this evening. There's a strong wind warning for Port Phillip and coastal waters. Mostly cloudy with showers across southern and mountain districts, gradually easing this evening. And tomorrow, cool and mostly cloudy with isolated showers across southern and mountain districts. Right now in Melbourne, it's 18 degrees. ABC News.
Massive interest rate cuts from the
25% increase.
Infectious.
Keep across the news that matters to you with the ABC Listen app.
Get up to the minute local, national and world news. Live and on demand.
US and NATO officials believe
in-depth investigations from ABC podcasts.
Like Triple J's Hack, ABC News Daily and many more.
All the news that matters to you.
With the ABC Listen app.
ABC Sport.
We begin this broadcast by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which this match will be played today and pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. We extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples listening.
For the red and blue true believers, they've climbed out of purgatory. For Melbourne tonight, there is a brand new flag.
After 57 years of pain, it's coming home.
The Demons are premiers.
Let's go. You don't want to miss this.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Check this out. Now we're in business. Won't believe what you're about to witness.
Hand pass to Bailey Smith. Bailey Smith, be the hero.
So much to see, so much to know.
40 out. What a superstar. That is a moment of inspiration. He loves this day. He loves this stage.
You better know it's the greatest show.
AFL.
Oh, you wouldn't believe it. Superb finish. The impossible angle. Sensational goal. And that's what brings Bennett through the gate.
Roll up, it's time for the show. Forget everything that you know. You ain't seen nothing like this. It's impossible to resist.
Pulls the trigger on goal and goes bang!
To the right forward pocket.
Pretty damn good.
Oh, yeah.
You ain't seen nothing like
Here we go. We've got a game now. We are on.
You want your very best players having the ball in the moments that matter.
With the talk from 55. That is the cream on the cake. That is brilliant.
Grandstand AFL.
Grandstand AFL.
Straight in front, 50 out, whacks it straight through. The captain delivers in the big moment. You are kidding me. Oh, he's a superstar. Sets his sights on goal. Johannesson leaps into the night sky and drags in the mark. How much do you want it? How much do you need it? How much do you want this? We're gonna be kidding.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Turns and snaps. What a way to finish.
Grandstand AFL.
Grandstand AFL.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Hello, welcome to Thursday Night Footy, where the winless Bulldogs will be desperate to avoid a 0-3 start for the first time in a decade. Having featured in last year's grand final, taking on the red-hot Sydney Swans off the back of Buddy's big night last Friday night, where he joined the all-time great goal kickers, beating goal 1,000 in a 30-point victory over the Cats. It's a blockbuster start to round 3 of the AFL. Hello, welcome to Docklands in Melbourne. Matt Clinch with you for ABC Sport. The Swans have beaten the Dogs twice in their last 3 encounters at Docklands, including in their last meeting in 2021 in round 17. There's no late changes for either side, so the teams as selected in the medical subs tonight. Mitch Wallace for the Western Bulldogs and Ben Ronk for the Sydney Swans. Corbin Middlemaster called the action alongside me. Corby, welcome.
Can it be a season shaper for the Western Bulldogs already? Clinchy, you're only got 3 rounds into the season, but remembering we were talking about this team as potentially the biggest challenger to Melbourne for the flag coming into the new season. Well, they're 0-2. And if they're going to be a top 2 team, a 17-win side, all of a sudden they're looking at 17 wins out of 20 as opposed to 17 out of 22. And if math is your thing, since 2000, Clinchy, only 19% of sides that have gone 0-2 have gone on to make the finals. So already they have to be a 1 in 5 type team if they are to make the 8 and we had their expectations pegged much higher than that.
Yeah, they're going to be chasing the season if they can try and get going early here. Your experts tonight on AFL, Grandstand AFL. Great to have the AFL Games record holder, Boomer Harvey. Welcome to season 2022. We've missed you. It's been a couple of years.
It has been a long time. I actually got lost coming in here tonight at Eddie Marvel, I should say. Didn't know which box to go into, but it's fantastic to be back. Absolutely missed sitting with you guys and calling the games, and I look forward to this one especially. And you're right, the Bulldogs got their backs against it tonight, because if they don't win this one, you start searching for a win, and everything else sort of goes out the window, and you just want that one win. So it's going to be really interesting, and they come up against the team who's kicked the most goals in the competition to date, the Sydney Swans. 2 years ago, they were very, very defensive with Don Pike going there. Their offensive game has gone through the roof, so looking forward to watching the Sydney Swans play.
Sitting alongside Boomer Harvey, Mark McClure. Welcome, sellers. Great to see you.
Hey, boys. Good to be in here. It's fantastic. The roof's closed, and good to see Boomer. Haven't seen him for a while. But he's right about the Sydney Swans. They do score, and they score rapidly. They've got a great culture, and they have, they're actually proud of what they do. And last week, if you watched against Geelong, and you would have thought that Geelong would have beaten Sydney, they were actually ordinary. Their efficiency rate was 35% inside 50. They had 18 less scoring opportunities than the opposition. Geelong had 18 more inside 50s, and they won by 30 points. That is ridiculous. The average for scoring is 20%. They're at 35. So what they do is they move the ball forward quickly, and they don't go sideways and backwards. They do a short kick, bang, and then they move straight away and go again. And that's what's breaking the thing up. And when you've got Buddy Franklin up there, and you've got Heaney up there, and you've got kids like Wicks and Goulding and all those sorts of guys, and Parker, who drops forward, who kicked a few last week. So the whole thing is about scoring. And once you get to 100, you usually win. That's the game. So it's the first to 100 wins this, and most games were like that. And they were first to the 100 last week. They've been first to the 100 in the last 2 weeks, and they've been brilliant. So the Doggies, well, I think they're a tad off. Their forward line's not quite working. Bruce needs to be back. I mean, Norton can't be the only sole person to go to. They don't have many other goal kickers who kick multiple. And they're in a little bit of trouble. Their midfield hasn't been as strong as the opposition's. The Blues actually destroyed them in the midfield. They're the premiership side, or one of the players who played in the grand final. You would think that they'd be hungry to win another one. They didn't look like it against the Blues.
Can I ask Boomer one question before we start?
Fire away.
Boomer, all the talk during the week has been about Lance Franklin. Sixth man in the history of VFL AFL footy to kick 1,000 goals.
Yes, what a scene.
And everyone's talking about, look, it's the milestone of the game. There are only 5 men in the history of the game to have played 400 games. Of course, you've played
much harder to do, isn't it?
You've played 432 more than anyone else in the history of this great competition. Would you trade?
Oh, no, don't ask him this.
Would you trade your 400 games for 1,000 goals in the sense that Buddy had last Friday at the SCG?
Well, I don't know if I wanted to be Buddy in the middle of that. It would have been pretty cool for the first 2.5 minutes. I actually was sitting on the couch with my
guess what?
With my
we
kids.
wouldn't have seen you.
Yeah, no, you wouldn't have seen me. He was head and shoulders above everyone. I would have been knees and toes below everyone. But I started getting a little bit uncomfortable, to be honest with you. It was he was sweating. I started sweating at home, sitting on the couch, thinking this is starting to get a little bit awkward for him, because it was big. It's a great question. I'm not sure I would want to be right in the middle of that for about 16 minutes or whatever it was. It was, it was scenes, though. It was scenes.
Did the AFL take any responsibility for the amount of time that they were left on the ground, and the amount of time that they didn't actually get a microphone and say, hey, okay, you must leave the ground immediately? Why didn't they do that? Is it so disorganised that happened? I think that is really bad. And we're very lucky that someone didn't get injured or hurt or sues them.
It was a 59-minute quarter or something, wasn't it?
It's ridiculous.
It was. I couldn't believe the amount of people that were on their number one, which very hard to stop. You're not going to stop that, but it took a long time to get them off. And even the players coming back out for another couple of minutes, that's hamstring city right there, isn't it, for the older guys?
So the pleasing part for the Sydney Swans is that even though Franklin is such a rock star and a central avenue to their forward 50, it's been their ability to score in other avenues. They're inside 50s. They've been able to convert them into goals at over 30%. That's
35.
Yeah, a league average, when you compare it with the stock standard, is sort of around 22%. And their goal kicking as well has been a shining light. So the Swans on the rise with a great young group of players who are going to be the future. No doubt they'd be keen to try and counter whatever the Bulldogs can throw tonight.
Clenchy, right there is what you said. For me, watching the Sydney Swans, I didn't realise the influx of young talent that they've got.
Huge.
And you go through Stevens, McDonald, Campbell, Gould. Gordon, yep, sorry. Blakey, like he's still young. Blake's played only in his 4th year or something. McInerney, Warner. It goes on, and these young kids they're really good players.
Yeah, but they've got an academy which they've worked on them for a little while with, and they bring them in.
Helps.
But that academy doesn't just help them; it helps everybody. Because other clubs have picked up players from that academy as well.
Correct.
So I'm proud of them doing that. I think that's a great idea.
I'll be completely honest with you. I looked at the Swans 2 years ago and they're just Parker's getting a bit older, Franklin's getting a bit older. Kennedy's getting a bit old. They're probably going to fall off the perch because they haven't got much coming through. Well, I'm happy to put my hand up and say I was wrong.
Would you think now that when they played D's and then the Blues and then Sydney, they're pretty good sides, those three. You know what I mean? So 2-0's not a disaster, but it could be 3-0 could be a real disaster.
And that's when you start searching for that win, and you worry about your win more than anything else.
I agree.
So 9 of the Sydney Swan side is 25 years and over, so they've got a large crust of it that's under 25 who hope their best footy is about to hit in the next year or two. In terms of the Bulldogs, the hype and the expectation around them to challenge the likes of Melbourne, they've had a tough start to the season. Obviously a 26-point loss to Melbourne in round 1 and then a 12-point loss to the Blues who are flying in round 2. So what sort of response do you expect from the Bulldogs? We've touched on Aaron Norton and he's their main focus without Josh Bruce. So how do you try and muster the best out of a side who has a few challenges in trying to work out how they play?
Yeah, players look at the fixture too. You know who you're up against 3 or 4 weeks in advance, and people say, we take it 1 week at a time. Yeah, you play 1 week at a time. We understand that, but you do look forward to the fixture. And you know what? Flip it a coin against Melbourne. They're both last year's grand finalists. You don't know who's going to win. But Carlton, they're going to be a decent team this year, and they got the Bulldogs. My thing with the Bulldogs, Sellers, I'm not sure what you think. If Norton doesn't kick a little bag, I can't see him kicking a really big score to win a lot of games.
Well, I said that when I sort of introduced him, and to me that they don't have any firepower without Bruce there. The double prong attack is pretty handy.
Yep.
But without him there, and then all of a sudden, where do I go to? I go to Norton. It's easy to block him out. It's easy to go back and put another one on him because you haven't got anyone else to go to. Yep. No one there. Ugle-Hagan, I'm really I thought they should have played him more. They should have got him. They should have put him in
game time last year.
Yeah, absolutely. He could have played 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 games last year. Even if he came off the bench and did some stuff like that.
Yeah, you start
to give him some feel for that, how tough this is, how hard this is, and then all of a sudden now he's on his 7th game now for 2 years in his 2nd year, and he needed to have 10 games last year, so he'd get sort of 3 or 4 now. So then he's ready to go, and that's the future of their footy club.
It is, and if Norton doesn't fire, you start looking at blokes like Hannon, Waitman to kick your 4s. That's not going to happen every week because they're opportunists. And yes, they will kick it during a year. They'll get a couple of bags of 4 or 5s, but they're consistently not going to pull out 4s every week.
You know what? The midfielders aren't kicking goals either.
Treloar does. Treloar has shots on goal.
I understand that.
But you're right.
But you're talking about Hunter, you're talking about Josh Kennedy, you're talking about McRae. They're not scoring goals.
Yep. No, I'm with you.
Boomer Harvey and Mark McClure, your experts on ABC Sport tonight. Matt Clinch and Corbin Middlemass to call the action. You can get in touch with us, 0437 774 774. If you've got a thought or two or want to contribute to the broadcast. The final member of our team is sitting in the front row of the grandstand. Mitch Cleary, welcome back to you. Nice to be with you.
Good evening, guys.
In terms of the two sides, Sydney in the traditional South Melbourne jumper tonight and seeing they're wearing black armbands for the passing of former South Melbourne player Bernie Jeffrey. You've been following Richmond closely, Mitch, today and trying to work out when we might see Dustin Martin back.
I spoke to Jack Rewalt in the city this afternoon, Clinchy. He says it's more of a welfare issue now. They just want to see Dusty happy and back at the club, regardless of whether that means he's playing footy or not. Still an indefinite timeline over Dusty's return, but not named for his 2nd consecutive match. So open-ended right now, but the Tigers are wishing Dusty the best and just want to see him back at the club, regardless of whether that's in a playing environment or not.
Well, we've got a big weekend of AFLW, of course. You'll hear it on ABC Radio with Melbourne taking on the Brisbane Lions from the MCG and Adelaide and Fremantle from the Adelaide Oval. Interesting stories around player movement once, team seasons come to an end.
Exactly. The 4 new teams coming in next season is going to open up a stack of player movement. Clinchy, Sydney is one of those new clubs. They're cashed up. They're targeting Western Bulldogs AFLW captain Ali Blackburn in a big move. I think she's weighing it up as of this weekend whether she will accept that offer from the Swans. So watch this space on a few of these, but I think it's one of many we're going to see unfold over the next few months.
Beautiful. Thanks, Mitch. Look forward to your contributions throughout the night. So under a minute away from the opening bounce. The teams are just issuing their final instructions. Who are you tipping tonight, Boomer? Sellers?
Oh, I think the Swans are in better form, and I'm always going to go with the better form. I don't think it's going to be a huge win, but I think the Swans by maybe 3 goals.
Yeah, I like the Swans. I saw the Doggies last week. I came and watched the Sydney, the Carlton game, and just had a couple of beers with a mate of mine and watched them, and they just weren't on song. You know what I mean? And you can't pull up your socks when they're just in a hurry, I don't think. So Sydney were really good against Geelong. Very good. But don't forget, they're travelling now.
Really,
there's a difference in the game when you travel from Sydney and north.
I'm really keen to watch Isaac Heaney play. I don't get to watch the Sydney Swans a lot. Watch him a little bit on TV, but to see him live and see how hard he works, because last week he was phenomenal. He was the difference last week, so as we spoke about.
You got a man crush.
Oh, I nearly have. I think
Wouldn't be alone.
Yeah.
The Western Bulldogs are going to kick to the left of the field as we see it. So the start of round 3, Thursday night footy, a massive clash between the Western Bulldogs and Sydney. Here's Corbin Middlemass.
It'll be English and Hickey in the middle as Hickey palms it down to Parker of the Swans, who's locked up straight away by McRae. A couple of traditional VFL jumpers out there in the Western Bulldogs in their old Footscray strip, which is their home jumper nowadays, in the royal blue with the red and white hoop. In Sydney, wearing the old South Melbourne jumper with the red V. From the restart, Bontempelli's kick smothered, ricochets over to Bailey Smith, and Heaney locks him up. The red shorts as well, the South Melbourne jumper on the Swans. So for the third time, a ball up still in the centre square.
Hickey and English. Hickey wins down the tap, straight towards Dunkley, couldn't take it. English squeezes a kick inside 50. Hannon's there. Jamara Ugelhagen flew, couldn't take the mark. Hannon swoops onto it, 45 metres out. Half pass to Ugelhagen, surely taking over the shoulder. The umpire eventually making the call against Paddy McCartan. And the number 1 draft pick from last year will get a shot slightly left of centre, only about 40 metres out.
It was definitely over the shoulder.
This would be a great start for his confidence too. If he kicks this, he can go on and kick his 3 or 4 maybe, but he's got to nail this one.
Had the 2 marks in the 6 disposals and 1 goal 2 last week against the Blues. Jamara Ugelhagen comes in, starts it right, steers it straight through the middle. And the Dogs are on the board first. Through under 90 seconds here at Docklands. 1 straight 6 to the Swans yet to score, Boomer.
It's a great start. It's a great start, and it's exactly what the Western Bulldogs needed. They got the centre clearance. It wasn't pretty. It was a little bit scrappy, but they got it forward and got a free kick. It wasn't a lucky free kick. It was a free kick because it was there too high. Fantastic finish from a young boy to go back and slot the first one. That will give him enormous confidence now. And just to add, looks like Mills going to Bontempelli as well. So, and my man, Isaac Heaney, Sellers, starting out in the wing on Hunter.
I just like the way they moved that ball. It was like a struggle to get it up there. It was workmanlike, and that's what they need to do to get themselves back in the game, the Dogs.
There's a bit in that. Lance Franklin just standing about 10 metres behind Jamara, took his mouth guard out, had a bit of a word. Of course, Jamara made his debut against Buddy and the Swans the last time they met late last year, and Jamara, the young gun for the Bulldogs, has the first goal of the game as Mills in the middle of the ground, a high up and under. Franklin crashes this pack, can't come down with it. Spills to Hayward, hand pass to Parker, his kicks a turnover. English on the back edge of the square, hands it to Dunkley, now out to Daniel, defensive side of the wing. He kicks up for Jamara again. Paddy McCartan gets rid of him.
Another free kick.
Got rid of him illegally. Free kick for Ugelhagen, who's already got the first of the game in the opening 60 seconds, and now he wrong foots Goulden on the mark. The lefty puts it inside the forward pocket. It skids past Norton and Rampy, and Rampy helped over the line. A boundary throw in, 40 out from the Dogs attacking goal. They're kicking to the Lockett end. If you're in the ground, you wouldn't know it because the big screens now cover the names which used to be on the 2 ends here, which means the Swans are going to the Coventry end.
That's a good memory from you, Corby. Hannon doing the ruck work with English out. Hickey just got rid of him and hacks a kick up to the wing. Franklin the target, in a tangle. Gardner gave away the free kick.
Yeah.
And Buddy will take it adjacent to the 2 centre circles.
And it was a smart free kick to give away because he was going to get outrun there.
Sydney players are streaming forward, trying to find the right option. Kicks out wide towards half forward, where the mark is taken by Goulden. He's 60 metres out from home. And now looking for options, runs his full measure, gets right to the edge of 50, long towards Hayward in the pack, can't take the mark. Cordy tapped it towards the behind line and Hayward threw a boot at it. Couldn't really ricochet it back across the face of goal. And the Swans' first score is a minor score. The Bulldogs 1 straight 6 through 4 minutes opening term, Grandstand AFL.
That's a matchup that the Sydney Swans will be trying to isolate Buddy Franklin on Gardner.
The All-Australian Bailey Dale goes long, straight down the pipe. Hickey got hands to it, no mark. Spills to Treloar, Dogs keep possession. Hand pass to Keith. Hands it away to McRae, sweeping hand pass to the bot. Off the back flank, he kicks down the wing and Hannon takes the mark. Right on halfway, the former D comes wide to Vandermeer. Marks between wing and half forward. 70 out, he rolls and kicks deep to Norton, one-on-one. The McCartans are back and Paddy arrives to lend a hand. Tom was standing Norton one-on-one and McCartan, third man in, takes the intercept mark for Sydney. He goes short to Warner at centre-half back, who then looks along to the City wing.
And he had a 2-on-1. Richards was able to juggle the mark for the Western Bulldogs. Right half forward. Comes inboard to Bontempelli. He wants to go short. McRae right on 50. Might not just have the trip there. So kicks laterally to Dunkley, who pokes the kick to English. He takes the mark. Coming the other direction was Josh Kennedy. And the smaller framed English in the body size bounced off him and took the mark.
Good use of the ball. Just that little chip pass. And everyone looking back to the square, want to go back to where Norton is. Kick it long and kick it high. Just keep coming at the ball carrier. You'll get it most times.
Well, that's exactly what Hickey did. He started heading back towards goal and English popped up and hit back up at the ball carrier.
Kicked a goal last week against the Blues. Tim English looking to try and impose himself on this contest. Out to the left, starts it out to the right. And it won't come back. The Bulldogs are 1-1-7. Sydney one behind. 6 minutes gone. Opening term, ABC Sport.
So Lloyd on the kick out, goes short to Blakey. He chips short to Warner. Hand pass back to Blakey. Heads down the City wing. Finds Florent. Hand pass back to Blakey. His third touch in the chain. Swings a hand pass out to Hickey. Long kick inside 50. Keith underneath it. Richards hit the deck. They all stopped. Umpire didn't blow his whistle. Play on the call. Keith picks it up. Spun around in the tackle. Falls underneath Treloar. Bottom of that pack. Again, the up lets them roll. Wicks took on the tackler. He's caught holding the ball. And Wicks will cough it up. Free kick for Lockie Hunter at half back for the Bulldogs. They've got the first. They lead it by 6 points after as many minutes.
He's going to retreat backwards by foot to Caleb Daniel. Normally a good option. He goes short to English. So the ruckman has it on the half back line. Kicks up towards Vandermeer. Good attack on the footy. Tapped it away from Hayward and gathered it. Kicks it up to Scott, who takes the mark between wing and half forward for the Bulldogs.
That was Vandermeer.
It was indeed.
Yeah, it was a brilliant play.
Won the 50-50 ball, got it into Dogs' hands, kicks towards Norton, worked underneath it. Tom McCartan, Paddy McCartan combining, and Paddy takes the mark. Switches it back inside the defensive 50 to Hickey, and now to Blakey by hand.
Man, they call the Lizard. Look at him go, bouncing away with a couple of bounces, and then hits up Hayward, who marks the back flank for Sydney. Not a heap up ahead. He goes out wide again, back to Blakey. Short kick to Florent. Wants to play on City wing, has to go back and across to Lloyd. And he chips short to Mills. Bulldogs with the first goal through Jamara Ugle-Hagan. They're 1-1. Sydney 1 behind, 7 minutes in. A long kick back from Mills to Tom McCartan. He tries down the dock side and Kennedy marks in front of Mitch Hannon. So he's got it. Defensive side of the broadcast wing. 6 players standing up, waiting to come back on the ground in front of the interchange gates where Kennedy takes this kick.
The former Swans captain now playing across half-back in the wing. Sends it long towards Hickey. Brought it down to the front. No real chance for a disposal there as Parker was on all fours, tackled by Liberatore. And Goulden now tries to charge his way through. The umpire says he hasn't had prior opportunity. And we'll toss it up just short of half forward for the Swans. Ball quickly in the air, English and Hickey. English won it down, got it to Treloar, gives the hand pass to Bailey Smith, kicks towards the boundary line. Vandermeer in front, had it spoiled away from him by Rampy. And across the boundary line for a throw-in. Mitch Cleary on the boundary.
Just further to Corbyn's point earlier on the Lockett and Coventry signs, the AFL assures me they will be going back up shortly, despite the new scoreboards that have been put in that Gil McLachlan described as sexy. So the Coventry Lockett signs, for those Sydney fans that arrive wanting to know where Lockett's name is, he hasn't been overshadowed by Buddy just yet.
Thanks, Mitch. He's all over at Nassau on the boundary. From the boundary throw in, English wins the tap. Row bottom for Sydney. Hand pass to Parker. Kicks down to half forward. Heaney's there. McLean forced to spoil for the Swans. Down to Dale. Kicks a one along the ground into the middle. Finds Waitman eventually. Hand pass to Dunkley. Dunkley a little casual. It is mowed down by Callum Mills. It was excellent last week on Paddy Dangerfield, and Mills with the chase down tackle. Lays it off by hand to Blakey. Kicks deep to Buddy. Buddy's got it. Had two getting back on him, and Franklin takes the catch. 15 out, just left of centre.
Well, that's the only way Buddy's going to get it, with quick movement into the forward line. Buddy had a one-on-one, and guess what? Too strong, too clever. Just caught him behind and just pushed him out of the way. That was Keith. Alex Keith was his opponent, and too experienced for him. But you've got to get in there quickly, otherwise the tools cannot work.
And a little bit of space behind him, didn't he?
Yeah.
Sellers, he was in the prime position just to sit back there, use his body and mark that one.
Buddy Franklin starts his approach, and Franklin misses. Gee, that's unusual. Out to the left, a minor score. He sits on 1,000 flat. The Bulldogs by 5 points, 9.5 minutes in.
Better this week than last week when the crowd would have been running in. Dale straight down the middle looking for Liberatore. Intercepting mark taken by Parker.
He's about 5'10".
Yep, battle of the small man. Kicks towards Heaney, out on the lead. He marks just inside 50, hard out to the left.
Such a good move, isn't he, Boone?
Oh, he's beautiful. Hey, there's nothing wrong going to a guy that's 5'10", Sellers, down the middle, is there?
Just got to hit it.
You, wouldn't he?
Oh, I think I might have liver. No, I think he's got me. He's got longer hair.
No, this kid's a star, Heaney. He's got such balance and, beautiful mover.
The stats doing the rounds during the week. He's the 8th player in 12 years to have 40 disposals in 2 games and 8 goals. Isaac Heaney shoots from 50. It's out to the right, and English is there to punch it through for a minor score. So the Bulldogs have the early lead, but it's now down to 4 points after the last 2 behind Sydney's way.
Never been All-Australian, Isaac Heaney, now 25. I think he's in most rolling teams after the first 2 weeks.
Oh, well played.
As the Dogs work it up to the broadcast wing, as Taylor Duray just taps it out to the advantage of Hunter, earning the praise of Sellers as Hunter kicks down the line, and Norton trying to trap it on the half volley skids out of play with Tom McCartan. We'll have a throw in between wing and half forward for the Dogs. Mitch on the boundary.
Just an update for those Bulldogs fans concerned about Hayden Crozier's well-being after he fainted last week. Playing in the VFL game right now, still on the ground, 3/4 in. Good signs for the Dogs.
Bulldogs by 4. Swans looking for their first goal from the boundary throw-in. Hunter kicks a high up and under to half forward, and English floats in front of a couple to take a pack mark. Still 60 out at left half forward. He's going to go short. Back to Hunter. He's 55 out, but pressed up against the boundary line, Doc's side. He'll just kick it to the hot spot. Jamara in front of him. Norton comes floating through from 3 or 4 back, and Norton comes down with it. He'll shoot from 20 out, just left of centre.
He can launch.
He's great to watch, isn't he? He is great to watch. Watch him last week on TV, and you just see him launch at everything. He nearly gets it, then he gets it, and he nearly gets another one. He's going to take mark of the century, I reckon.
Well, this is his problem.
Yep. Looked like it had Jamara's name all over it, and Norton just came out of nowhere to come down with the footy.
He's a 3 out of 10 kicker. We got that one.
That's the one he needed. Through it goes. He pops through the Dogs' second. 12 minutes in. And the Bulldogs move to 2-1-13. Sydney 3 behinds. The Doggies by 10 points. Norton with his first of the game.
Well, if you give him some space, Norton, and some room to run and jump, he's going to absolutely hurt you. He's a super mark. He certainly can launch in the air, and he's a powerful man. He's 6'5" or 6'6" or whatever he is. He's a monster. But his kicking has let him down on a few occasions and let his team down as well. That was a very good one. And a super mark, and also had some help from one of his teammates just to push the other opponent out of the way. So that's how you operate up forward. Get 2 onto 1 and you get rid of them.
So let's just watch a little bit of Tim English. He's not on the ground right now, I don't think, or he might be forward. No, he's off the ground. Hickey runs back to goal, and he just took another contested mark leading into that play and gave it to Hunter.
So Cordy into the ruck up against Hickey, who comfortably wins the tap. Got it to Rowbottom. His kick was smothered by Smith. Now Hannon tackled by Rowbottom. Good follow-up effort. And the Bulldogs can't break clear. Slightly Sydney's way from the centre circles. Just short of half forward. Hickey once more. This time takes it out of the ruck. Tried to feed the hand pass wide. It didn't quite work out, though, in the end. Florent now over the footy. And Dunkley over the top of him. Turns to the umpire, who will throw it up. Just at the back edge of this centre circles, with the Bulldogs leading by 10 points.
They've kicked the first 2 of the game. A rare miss from Franklin from 15 out. Sydney's best opportunity to kick one, but they're 3 behinds. Still another rolling maul in the middle of the ground, and eventually umpire Andre Gianfagna grabs the footy. He's going to chuck it up inside the centre circles. You can throw a blanket over around 20 players. Hickey down onto the boot of Stevens. Sockers it back into dispute. comes to McRae. There's a free kick. Non-controlling umpire spotted one. It's going McRae's way. He's going to have to go and collect the footy himself. That was the follow-up from Dylan Stevens, who landed in his back after McRae disposed of the footy. Crowded forward 50. Jamara leads up. McRae's going a little longer to Norton, who hits up in that channel at centre half forward and takes the mark. 35 out, dead in front.
There's a little bit of work going off the ball there from the Western Bulldogs. Lots of blocking. I think Waitman might have been the one that got it in front of McCartan's way, and Norton had an absolute mile. He had 7 or 8 metres on his direct opponent.
And the space in front was just too much.
This would be some kind of start for the boys. For 2 in 2 minutes, Aaron Norton misses.
3 out of 10 kicker.
That's the 7. That's the 7 out of 10 there, Sellers. That miss out to the left. So the Bulldogs by 11.
That's the one that makes it hard, isn't it, Sellers?
It's
Put you 20 points up, and it's tough.
15 minutes in, the Doggies 2-2, Sydney 3 behinds.
See, he got to work on that. Really work on the way he kicks the ball.
Lloyd rolls the dice straight down the middle, looking for Heaney. Got rid of Rourke Smith and takes the mark. Just short of the centre circles. Sydney players streaming inside 50. Franklin's one. He's backpedaling against 3. Gardner spoiled it down. Front and centre, well rowed by Richards. Runs out of defence. Kicks the Bulldogs up to the wing. Wide for Waitman. 2 wide. And he'll be coming back as Cunningham will take the free kick for the Sydney Swans. They trail by 11.
I think Buddy hurt himself there too.
Landed heavily. Trying to take a contested mark.
It's really not his go.
It's a little sore, just getting back to his feet. Still hunched over. The footy's in his direction here as Hayward kicks to the hot spot, but at the back, Keith takes the intercept pack mark for the Bulldogs. No late change for either team, so Mitch Wallace and Ben Ronk, the 2 subs. As the kick from Keith out to Gardner, marks on the back flank. He goes short to Dunkley, lifts a hand pass over the man on the mark to the run of Dale, kicks along the boundary line city side to Bontempelli, turns and goes, that long left-footed drop punt down to Scott, who read it beautifully, took the contact from Paddy McCartan, and Anthony Scott hangs onto it. Right half forward, he's 48 out, not confident with the trip. The lefty loads up, kicks for home, and he hasn't got it there. 49 metres right onto the chest of Tom McCartan in the goal mouth.
Just a foot or 2 short. As Tom McCartan hugs the boundary line with a kick to the right back pocket. Mills takes the mark. Possession number 4 coming up for Callum Mills. Blakey with 6 and Hickey with 4 for the Swans. Dale, Dunkley and English with 5 for the Western Bulldogs. Mills back inside the defensive 50, where Campbell looks to switch play to the left back pocket. Cunningham looks for options, waits for the lead to come and finds Stevens at left half back. So the Dogs have their grid defence set up down the outer wing, so he's going to decide to switch play once more, all the way back to Tom McCartan. Norton came charging back, just couldn't get there as the kick hung in the air for a moment or two, then kicks looking for brother Paddy, not a good kick. Overcooked it to Ray, takes the mark for the Dogs. Hand pass to Hunter, hard against the boundary, 50 metres out, long towards the top of the goal square. Norton the target, Waitman flew, threw the head back, got the umpire's whistle, was taken high. Cody Waitman will take it from the top of the goal square for what should be the Western Bulldogs' 3rd.
Geez, the Doggies are disciplined in their defence, the way they run. They get in front of their opponent when the ball changes direction. They outran them in all those areas. And Sydney was tad lazy. They want to get an easy ball, but their defensive stuff has been fantastic.
Cody Waitman, point blank range, comes in and puts it through. His 3rd goal of the season and first of the night, and the Bulldogs skip out to a 17-point advantage. 3-2-20 to the Swans, 3 behinds. 18 minutes gone, opening turn. Mitch Cleary on the boundary.
The Bulldogs have just taken Zane Cordy down to the rooms for a concussion check. He copped a big knock about 5 minutes ago. Stayed on the ground, had just come off now. And Buddy, he's staying out. That looks like he's shrugged off that limp that he had. The physio had been loitering, but Buddy's staying on the ground.
Oh, the Doggies were fantastic there. Their defensive zoning, where they actually outrun their opponent to every contest, and I reckon probably for the most of the quarter, they've cut off a whole lot of supply to the forward line, and they push it back in there. And free kick, they've had 2 free kicks for goals, and Norton's 1 goal. So that was interesting.
It was a bizarre exit kick by McCartan too, wasn't it? It was directly down the throat of the Western Bulldogs player.
Dogs by 17.
They worked harder.
Kicked the first three. Amati wins the tap down to Mills. Hand pass back to Amati. Kicks to centre half forward. Franklin wanted a free. The advantage is going to be taken by Hayward into the open goal. Kicks Sydney's first. And that's one back for the Swans. And one Buddy won't get to add to his four figures for now. 11 points the Bulldogs lead. 3-2-20. Sydney 1-3-9. Approaching time on opening term. Brent Harvey and Mark McClure on Grandstand AFL.
Well, that's the matchup I'm talking about. If they can isolate Gardner on Buddy, that's 2 or 3 times now he's looked really scrappy. He's going to give away a lot of free kicks because he's not going to be able to go with Buddy with his height, his body weight. Buddy's going to throw him around. And he's going to have to scrap. So I think there's going to be a lot of free kicks tonight if Buddy gets himself in good position.
Inside 50s away of the Western Bulldogs, 9-7. Disposals are pretty much even. The Dogs lead by a couple. And the clearances as well, which has been an issue for the Bulldogs. 5-3 the way of the Doggies. Hickey back in the middle against English. Tap came down to Goulden though for the Swans. Feeds it back. Got it to Lloyd, and now over the top to Parker. Hand pass over the top to Hickey. The ruckman jams it on the boot. Long kick towards Amati in the pack. Crumbing it perfectly was Rowbottom. Just tackled as he tried to get boot to ball. Amati has another go for Sydney. Can't get the hand pass to Warner. Keith through traffic for the Dogs. Back to Hunter. To Daniel, who's hemmed in. Kicks over the head of DeRay. Dropping the mark in the end was Florent. Still a chance for the Dogs though. And DeRay will emerge at left half back.
He kicks down to Hannon's going to have to collect on the hop. Copped an unkind bounce. Paddy McCartan comes through. Hits up Franklin. Takes the mark 70 out. Looks to centre half forward. Rowbottom the target. Richards does well. Puts himself in the hole and brings it down to English by hand to Trelaw. To Keith, back to Richards, and by hand all the way back to Dale, top of the defensive goal square.
Wants to try and get it to Rourke Smith. Good mark. Good courage as well. Coming the other direction was Stevens. He was able to hang on to the mark. And Rourke Smith sends the Dogs out onto the outer wing. Daniel takes the mark, trying to find a way around Parker. Loops the hand pass over the top to McRae. And now the Dogs have it attacking side of the wing. Looks up towards half forward. Waitman's on the lead. Cunningham right there with him. Got a hand to it. And then Waitman... Well, in the end, it was hand pass straight over the boundary line. We'll take the free kick. Right half forward. Veers out to the left. Inside the 50. Kicks for Vandermeer. And finds him hard in the right forward pocket as he marks on his chest.
Gee, he works hard, Cody Waitman, doesn't he? Haven't seen him play a lot of football live, but he's just ran from the goal square out to about 70 out. Got that free kick. Now he's back in the goal square. So... who's playing on him there? Cunningham's going to have his work cut out tonight.
Latham Vandermeer looking for his first goal of the season. Starts it on line to the right, but it stays that side of the right goalpost and a minor score. So the Bulldogs leading by 12 points, 22 minutes gone, opening term.
Blakey on the kick out, goes short to Lloyd. Marks in the back pocket. Blakey actually debuted against the Bulldogs on this ground, round 1, 2019. Same night, Bailey Smith made his debut.
If you watch the Dogs, they don't man the mark. They just push back just to fill space.
The kick goes out wide to Campbell, who then heads long down the line, and the target, Parker. Rourke Smith gets a fist in there, finds the safety of the boundary line, a throw in on the city wing. That game, Blakey and Bailey Smith both debuted round 1 2019. Probably most memorable for the fact that the Dogs wore their Thor jumpers that night with the cape on the back of them after the new superhero deal was struck with Docklands.
Yep, all sorts of promotional stuff on show there. A chance for the Swans trying to win it back on the wing. Eventually Parker got the hand pass out to Goulden, to Hickey and back to Goulden. Hard against the boundary, snaps on the left boot around the boundary line. Franklin's outnumbered 2-on-1 and Keith takes the mark. Feeds it back to Richards. Now where to for the Dogs. Looks out to the interchange side and puts it out in front of DeRay, trying to run onto it. Josh Kennedy overran the footy and Rowbottom's happy to see it out of play. Umpire said he disguised that one well enough, and a boundary throw in at right half forward for the Swans. Bulldogs by 12 points. Mitch Cleary on the boundary.
The Bulldogs have wasted no time. They've made the call on their sub. Zane Cordy out of the game. Mitch Wallace into the game. Cordy out with a concussion.
Big move early for Luke Beveridge and the Dogs. And not the night that Zane Cordy would have hoped for from the boundary throw-in. Comes down the Bulldogs' way. Liberatore off his knees. Hands it straight to Rowbottom. Kicks inside 50. Amati can't mark. Spills to Gardner, clever, just knocks it to the advantage of Daniel. Kicks off half-back for the Bulldogs, out to the city wing. Vandermeer takes a nice mark with pressure over his back from Campbell. And Vandermeer just on the defensive side of the wing can head down the city side. He's only got one man there in Bontempelli. Plenty of Swans around him. Bont can't mark. And at the back, Lloyd can mop it up for Sydney. He goes short to Mills, still on the back flank.
He wants to switch play back inside the defensive 50. Tom McCartan takes the mark. There's no one between him and the goals, and he turns it over straight to Anthony Scott. Looking for Josh Kennedy. Scott takes the intercepting mark for the Dogs. Hand pass to Bailey Smith, who's off and running but won't have the purchase. Paddy McCartan takes the saving mark on the goal line.
It's a silly handball received by Smith there. He's running onto his left side. He's never going to kick the ball 45 on the run.
Short to Mills, to Cunningham, who cleverly bounced it around the boundary line. Got it to Stevens. Still inside the defensive 50. Kicks up to Wicks on the wing. The two little men battle. Daniels, and it bounced off Wicks' head. He's getting a free kick for a hold, though. And take it for the Swans on the wing.
So Wicks will go short to Warner. And he wants to turn and go. They go pretty rapid in the front half, the Swans. Hand pass over to Buddy, who kicks out wide for Stevens. And the South Australian just forward of the wing. Looks inside the forward pocket of Marty, the target. It's too wide. One bounce out of play. Forward pocket for the Swans. Bulldogs are 3-3. Sydney are 1-3. It's a 12-point lead for the Bulldogs after 25 minutes in the opening term. Bailey Smith, as you said, just the wrong side. They have 12 left-footers in their team tonight, the Bulldogs. Unfortunately, he ain't one of them.
Thrown back in. Amadi was able to get rid of English but couldn't get on the end of it. Bailey Dale for the Dogs. Hand pass down low to Smith, who made it work. His kick is too wide for Anthony Scott, though, and just bounces in the field of play in front of he and Blakey. No, the field umpire has overruled.
Oh, wow.
Very unusual that he would overrule the boundary umpire. So Sydney do get the free kick, although Blakey, in a sign of karma, looking for Stevens, has sent it straight over the line once more. Dogs head on with it. Treloar moves it quickly to Bailey Smith. He kicks around the wing looking for Norton. Tom McCartan's there, gets a decisive fist and sees it over the boundary line for a throw-in.
Clenchy, did he override him or did he say it was deliberate?
Yeah, you could be right.
I think he might have called deliberate, which it was under the pump when he was kicking the ball. He's kicked it 45 metres, it's bounced sideways. A little bit stiff.
Dogs by 12 points, 3-1 from the boundary throw-in. English palms it down. Bailey Smith, who's getting involved. Hand pass on the wing to Bond. To Daniel, who's taken over the shoulder by Franklin.
Where else could you get him?
It's a free kick for the man in the headgear, Caleb Daniel.
2'6".
I love this little guy too. He just uses the ball every single time.
Right.
He kicks down that wing. Not a great execution on this occasion over the head of Scott, his intended target. Stevens collects. He's helped over the line. And a throw in half forward for the Bulldogs. 60 out. Mitch Cleary on the boundary.
Just on the call with Zane Cordy out of the game for the Dogs. Luke Beveridge stressed during the week. Cordy had been the second man behind Tim English taking centre bounces. So they're going to have to restructure their rucks for the remaining 3 terms.
Thanks, Mitch. English one down the tap. McRae got a hand pass out to Bailey Smith. Kicks towards Norton in the pack. Can't take the mark. And both McCartans there laying the spoil. With good support from Nick Blakey in defence as well. And a throw in deep at attack for the Dogs. They lead by 12 points. The opening 3 goals of the match, and Sydney with the last goal so far. Toss back in. Hickey sets himself. Bontempelli doing the ruck work. Hickey just got rid of him. Kicks a high ball to half back. English underneath it. Amadi as well. Keith got hands to it. Over the shoulder. Bulldogs free kick. Richards takes the advantage over the head of Norton. And it bounces across the face of goal and races out up against the left behind post.
Not sure why Richards didn't have a shot there. He was about 49, 50 out, but he's got a beautiful leg on him. I would have backed him to kick that goal. I think Bontempelli might have told him as well. Go for it.
Games record holder Brent Harvey on Grandstand AFL. Dogs by 12. Boundary throw in deep forward. Norton and Hickey. Hickey got first hands to it, but down to Vandermeer. Hand pass to Waitman, searching for his second. He's offline. And his snap misses the whole set from 20 out. Out of bounds on the full, so no change to that score. Bulldogs by 12 points as we close in on quarter time.
Campbell takes it quickly and goes short to Blakey. Still has it in the left back pocket for the Sydney Swans, who hugs the boundary line looking for Mills. Up Scott in front, got a hand to it and spoils it out of play for a boundary throw in. So the Western Bulldogs 3-3-21, the Sydney Swans 1-3-9. Approaching quarter time here at Docklands, the opening game of round 3. From the throw in, English on all fours trying to knock it out for the Bulldogs. Goulden got down low. Hand pass straight to McRae of the Western Bulldogs though. Kicks to Waitman out in the lead. Just couldn't hang on. Cunningham was right there with him. A chance for Scott who got it out to Waitman. Just can't get on his right boot. As the siren sounds for quarter time. The Western Bulldogs off to a promising start, kicking the opening 3 goals before Sydney with the last goal of the term. So the Bulldogs by 12 points, 3-3-21 to the Swans 1-3-9. The goals for the Dogs have come through Jamara Ugelhagen, Waitman and Norton. And Sydney's lone goal scorer was Will Haywood. And the news from the boundary, Mitch Cleary telling us that Zane Cordy has been subbed out with concussion. And Mitch Wallace into the action at the 23rd minute mark of that opening term. Great to have your company on Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
We are one. I was 4.5 years of age when they took me off my mother. And at 56, I learned that I was an Aboriginal woman. I started writing at 70. I'll never stop writing and sharing those stories.
90 years of your stories.
I am Auntie Ruth. I am Gungari, and I am 92 years young.
90 years of the ABC.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
English squeezes a kick inside 50. Hannon's there. Jamara Ugelhagen flew. Couldn't take the mark. Hannon swoops onto it 45 metres out. Hand pass to Ugelhagen. Surely taking over the shoulder. Jamara Ugelhagen comes in, starts it right, steers it straight through the middle.
Hunter. He's 55 out, but pressed up against the boundary line, Doc's side. He'll just kick it to the hot spot. Jamara in front of him, Norton. Comes floating through from 3 or 4 back, and Norton comes down with it. That's the one he needed. Through it goes. He pops through the Dogs' second.
Ray takes the mark for the Dogs. Hand pass to Hunter. Hard against the boundary, 50 metres out, long towards the top of the goal square. Norton the target. Waitman flew through the head back. Got the umpire's whistle, was taken high. Cody Waitman, point blank range, comes in and puts it through.
Marty wins the tap down to Mills. Hand pass back to Amati. Kicks to centre half forward. Franklin wanted a free. The advantage is going to be taken by Haywood into the open goal. Kicks Sydney's first.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Quarter time at Docklands in Melbourne, and it's the Western Bulldogs who have their noses in front. 3-3-21 to the Swans 1-3-9. So the Bulldogs leading by 12 points. Matt Clinch and Corbin Middlemass calling the action. Brent Harvey and Mark McClure are your experts.
Yes, I've really liked what I've seen from the Western Bulldogs sellers. I've written here defensive work, but I'll finish and and then you talk about the defensive work because you picked it up early and you mentioned it. But I'm really liking what Tim English is doing in the Western Bulldogs. Hickey runs straight back to goal to get in front of Norton, and they're lowering their eyes, and we've seen English take one contested mark and get a hit up as well. So I'm really liking that little play by the Western Bulldogs. On the other side of things, the Sydney Swans, Nick Blakey has had 9 disposals, 8 kicks. I reckon he's going at about 85-90% efficiency rate. He's a beautiful kick and quickly becoming one of the better kicks in the AFL. So the Western Bulldogs have just got to tighten up there on Blakey because he gives them all their drive off half back. And Mills, as I mentioned, went to Bontempelli at the start of the game. Mills had 8 touches for the quarter and Bontempelli only 4. So doing a fantastic job, Mills on Bont. If they can nullify Bont's influence around the stoppages, McRae doesn't find as much of it. He'll still have his 30, no doubt, but doing a fantastic job, Mills. The defensive stuff, sellers, you can go through.
Well, I just think that they planned really well against this side because they know that what they did last time was efficiency to get into the forward line as quick as they can. So what they did is they set a zone and they just blocked them off in every area. And when the ball came around that way, they all rushed in front of their players, their team, the Sydney guys, and hoping that they block it off and cut it off because they don't want that short pass to hit and go again and go again. So, and that was really good stuff. But then you have a look at their midfield. Picked up too. McRae's up. Dale, Barty Dale, English has had a few. Bailey Smith's had some. Hunter, Richards, Daniels, who's really part of a midfield. Dunkley's in there as well in the numbers, and that wasn't there last week. So that they've given them a bit of a kick in the pants and said, hey, listen, you better pick up your game and get going. And
it's been a even spread for the Western Bulldogs, hasn't it?
Real even spread. Inside 50s are exactly the same. The efficiency inside 50, I mean, Norton's got one, and they've got 3 goals out of it, and Waitman and who was the other one who got theirs? Norton, Waitman, and Ugelhagen, who got a free kick, 2 free kicks and a couple of marks. But Norton can launch, and guess what? Up the other end, no one can launch up there because Buddy's not a great overhead mark, and they don't have enough targets to hit to in the top end. So what they need to do is rely on short passing, hitting up targets as they run towards a ball carrier. Continue to do so, but they're always running back. Doggies have got them coming up the ground a bit, and then they have to run back towards goal, and it's easy to defend that sort of stuff.
I think we might see Heaney, I reckon, this quarter. Might even start. I don't know if he'll start forward, but he'll definitely drift forward as he did sort of late in that quarter. But they do need a little bit more firepower up there, and I reckon he might go up forward.
Yeah, they're a bit light on, don't they?
Yeah, if Buddy's not doing it, it looked like he got a really big corky and struggled to run there for about 4 or 5 minutes. So you don't want to rely on one goal kicker. Fortunately for the Sydney Swans, they've kicked the most goals in the competition. They've got an even spread. Heaney does look like he's running up to the forward line with Franklin now. So a move that the Western Bulldogs are going to have to keep a really, really keen eye on, I think.
Now, Hickey's positioning has got to change too. He's got to stay with his ruckman. I think they should let that go because one-on-one should be everywhere with that, and because that gets too many. If he goes right back, it's just too easy to run off him.
And we've seen, I think English will continue to do it. English, I was out here one day watching English versus, it was at Collingwood, and
Grundy?
Yeah, Grundy gave him a really good hide, and I reckon he would have learned a lot from that day because Grundy worked him over, but went forward and had shots on goal as well. So see if English can continue to do that this quarter.
The voice of Brent Harvey with you on ABC Sports. Second quarter underway with the Western Bulldogs leading by 12 points. Hickey and English resume their battle. English went early and took it out of the ruck. Gets the clearance inside 50. Waitman came charging out. Spoiled down by Blakey of Sydney. Onto it, Treloar. Feeds the hand pass back into the middle of the ground. Bontempelli to Dunkley. Out wide to Richards. Here go the Dogs inside the attacking 50. Norton got hands to it. Couldn't take the mark. Got a shove over the shoulder from Tom McCartan. And when they move the ball like that, good luck trying to stop Aaron Norton when he's on the lead.
That's a perfect pass. Richards hits a beautiful little pass, and all of a sudden Norton is hard to get round, and that causes the free kick because he can't get past him. Instead of banging away to the goal square.
It'd be hard to be a defender these days, Sellers, though, let's face it. There wasn't a lot in that. The free kick might have been there, was over the shoulder, but
if you're a defender, you're not a forward.
1 goal, 1 for Aaron Norton so far. Comes in from 45. Better kick, but he's pushed it to the right. Maybe just got underneath it a fraction. Bulldogs by 13 points. We played a minute in the second quarter.
So 6 goals, 5 for the year now. Aaron Norton, 1-2 for the night.
What set shots you're talking about?
As Lloyd takes the kick out to Rampy on the back flank. Marks for the Swans. Hand pass over to Florent. Looks back in the corridor. Hits up Parker. Takes the mark. Hand pass away to Rowbottom. He looks inside the centre circles. Over the head of Franklin. It'll sit for Gardner. Takes on oncoming traffic in Hayward. Hand pass to Daniel. Hands it to Bontempelli. Kicks out wide for Hunter. City wing. Heads along the boundary line to Bailey Smith. Marks high half forward. He rolls and puts it inside to the top of the goal square. Jamara is down there. English back. They come from all directions. Spills at the feet of Jamara. Now a pack falls underneath him. The ump says play on. Warner had it, lost it. Chucking it hurriedly on the boot. It was Scott. It was touched on the way through. And it'll be a behind. In fact, it was Dunkley who kicked it out of a pack of bodies about 20 metres out from the Dogs' goal, so a minor score. The Bulldogs are 3-5. Sydney are 1-3. It's a 14-point lead for the Bulldogs 2 minutes into the second term.
That's a great result for the Western Bulldogs, giving up that pocket and letting him kick it there, because Nick Blakey last week, I've seen one of the all-time great kickings.
Blakey into Rampy in the back pocket. Long kick up to the wing. Clear to Marty. A chance for Wicks to try and run onto it. Scott did well. Got down really low. Won the footy for the Dogs. Hand pass to Bontempelli, who fired it out wide to Dunkley. Gathers for the Dogs. Quick 1-2 between English and Dunkley. Then a low, precise kick to Scott, who was knocked off his feet by Heaney, but no 50-metre penalty. The Dogs leading by 14 points. Scott's going to go backwards to go forward, and Keith takes the mark at the back edge of the centre square.
Done well here, Sydney. He made him go back 25 metres and really held him up.
Dogs by 14. Keith kicks to a contest on the wing. Rourke Smith running start. Offhand slips out of play.
They look much sharper this week, the Dogs. They're just tougher in the midfield. Move the ball. If you give them a chance, they will hurt you with their feet.
Last couple of weeks, Melbourne kicked the first 4 of the game against the Bulldogs. Carlton 4 of the first 6 last Thursday. And here the Dogs have 3 of the first 4. From the boundary throw in, English won the hit out, and then it comes back to him. 70 out, he kicks along to the top of the goal square. Paddy McCartan fists it away for the Swans. Kennedy mops it up, hand pass to Lloyd, to Cunningham, back to Lloyd, and he can kick out of the defensive arc. He comes wide to Gordon, and Errol marks on the back flank.
Into the corridor, was looking for either Kennedy or Parker, missed them. DeRay gets it forward, a chance for Vandermeer, hand pass to Bailey Smith, kicks long to Jamara, 2-on-1. Paddy McCartan couldn't take the mark. English trying to charge through, ran into a dead end, thrown to the turf as Paddy McCartan lays the tackle. And Tim English's endeavours and enthusiasm to try and take the game on might just hit a bit of a roadblock there after he was thrown to the turf. Hickey wins down the tap to Heaney, 15 metres out from his defensive goal. Hand pass to Florin, who kicks towards the boundary line. Hunter leads the foot race in front of Kennedy. Gathers for the Dogs. Again, he's going to retreat back by foot. Kicks up to Daniel, who takes the mark, centre of the city wing.
Every player is in the front half.
Daniel short to Giray. 70 out left half forward. A 2-time premiership winning Hawk. Doc Giray, he kicks it into the forward pocket. Hands on it from Dunkley, and straight off the forehead of Hickey over the boundary line. That hit him in the head.
Right on his head, yeah.
And again, we've seen English push forward. If he was only a couple of metres away from that ball, he's making Hickey really, really work here. I'm really liking his game so far.
So boundary throw in. Forward pocket for the Bulldogs. Kicking to the Coventry end as Hickey palms it down to Rowbottom. Rowbottom kicks hurriedly out of the defensive arc. Juggled effort from Keith. Can't come down with it. Pressure from Amati. Pack forms behind the pair, and the umpire now says, I'll have it. As Daniel is locked up. And a ball up 5 minutes into the second term. Bulldogs by 14.
Blakey and Hickey with 10 disposals for the Swans. English with 10 for the Western Bulldogs. Hickey this time takes it out of the ruck. His turn. Can't get a clean hand pass to Heaney. Hunter wins it for the Dogs. Hand pass to Daniel, bumped by Parker as he's got his kick towards Dunkley, who then followed up with a good tackle on Cunningham. Gordon squeezed the kick forward towards Franklin. One-on-one with Gardner. Buddy did him a merry dance, but then Gardner laid a good tackle. Franklin's hand pass straight to Keith of the Dogs. To Gardner, under pressure. And Hayward lays the tackle to lock the footy in. Adam Treloar had nowhere to go as he was locked up in a tackle. 40 metres out from the Sydney goal. The Bulldogs by 14 points.
Zane Cordy already subbed out with suspected concussion. Mitch Wallace into the game from the ball up. Heaney tries to charge through traffic. Hand pass went straight to Daniel. His handball a little hot for Gardner. Pack forms and the umpire says ball up. 30 out from the Sydney goal.
Do you think he tried to get it out?
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I thought the umpire was going to ping him there for a second.
So did I.
Bulldogs by 14. English knocks it away from the restart. Down to Heaney. He's caught by Bailey Smith holding the ball. Free kick Bulldogs. Advantage applied. Dunkley to Treloar. Out to Hunter by hand. He kicks down the city wing. Running back. Tom McCartan got hands to it. Jamara attacks it in the other direction. Wins possession. Kicks for Waitman. Nice fist on it from Cunningham. Finds the safety of the boundary line and a throw in half forward for the Bulldogs. Dogs by 14, 7 played, second term.
Good contest taking place in this second quarter. Thrown back in. Hickey works his way to the front against Dunkley. Palms it down to Heaney. Inside the defensive 50. Lloyd had a fumble, but enough time to gather. Kicks towards Florin across the face of the centre square. Couldn't take the mark with Rourke Smith pressuring him. DeRay shoved out of it by Wicks, and Rourke Smith comes up with it. Hand pass back. Gardner looking at options. Not a good one for Mitch Wallace, and Blakey slipped in. Took the mark for the Sydney Swans. He's got Franklin free. Puts it on his head. English over the top. Right on Franklin and takes the mark.
He's been good.
A rare highlight for the ruckman over the superstar Lance Franklin. The Dogs work it to half forward. Vandermeer flies in a 2-on-1. can't take the mark. Norton front and centre. Heaney slow to rise. Vandermeer gathers the hand pass, kicks into the pocket, looking for Ugle-Hagen. It's got Paddy McCartan.
It's too high.
Who had a hand on his shoulder.
Hand on the shoulder.
Paddy McCartan was trying to use his left arm to spring up on his right arm in the end and had it on the shoulder of Ugle-Hagen. So it was an easy one for the ump to call, but not a great deal in it.
Let's go back and talk about English.
Absolutely.
That was brilliant.
Ugle-Hagen has rushed it, stepped out, snapped on the left, and it's near side, the right-hand side all the way. So a minor score, the Bulldogs by 15 points, but Tim English with one for the posters.
You'd be hoping one of the snappers caught that with a nice specky over the top of Lance Franklin. As Lloyd comes out of the defensive 50, goes wide to Kennedy, and now he kicks short back into the defensive arc for Rampy. 15-point lead for the Bulldogs, 3-6 to 1-3. Rampy off the back flank. Goes long out towards Hickey, who takes the mark on the way down. Few flew early. Hickey comes down with it. Kicks it out too wide. Wanted Franklin, missed him. Umpire says throw it in. Went out on the hop.
You should not let them kick.
50 out.
Wrap around for the handball sellers every day of the week.
At half forward for the Swans. Mitch on the boundary.
Mitch Wallace has been in the game for less than 15 minutes, but he's already come off. He's got a left eye complaint. They're just looking at it right now. He can barely see out of it. I'll keep you posted.
Thanks, Mitch. Shallow throw in. Hickey one down the tap. Hunter gathered for the Dogs. Hand pass to McRae and out of Bontempelli. Kicks to Hannon, who gets down low and claims the mark. Left half back for the Western Bulldogs. Pokes the kick over the top. Dale took a great one-handed mark. He's able to control it with his right hand and keep possession. Drives a long kick now up towards Dunkley. Worked underneath it and dragged down by Campbell. No free kick. Florent races after it. Ugle-Hagen the other direction. Great courage from both players as they bounced off. Ugle-Hagen straight up. Paddy McCartan with the hand pass to Lloyd, who goes short to Blakey, who calls for calm as he takes the mark on the defensive 50.
What a contest there, sellers.
That was a good contest.
Both players knew that they were going to get hit. They were going to get hit hard. They both went for it. Well done.
Dogs by 15, 10 minutes into the second. Blakey goes long to a contest on the wing. Parker reaching over the top, takes the mark in among 3 or 4 bodies.
No.
The umpire wants to reset the mark and bring Parker back over it. And now the forward 50 fills up. Dogs with jumpers back. Parker just loads up and kicks it at the top of the goal square. McLean down there. They all fly. Spills to Daniel. His kick smothered by Heaney, who then wins the footy. Hand pass to Wicks. Shoots it out to Goulden at half forward. 45 from home. Goulden pulls the kick back to the goal square. Up strong, Gardner. That's a terrific mark. Behind Franklin, and Gardner takes it defensively. Top of the goal square. Last line of defence for the Bulldogs.
Gardner called to play on, so drives a long kick up towards half-back. Norton's there with Tom McCartney, clears the 2. Smith tries to run onto it. That's Bailey Smith, and eventually is taken over the boundary line for a throw-in. Mitch Cleary on the boundary.
They've always said Mitch Wallace was a one-eyed bulldog after his dad's stint at Footscray. He's gone down to the rooms, can only see out of his right eye at the moment. They're just doing some work on that left one.
Thanks, Mitch. Signed, of course, that contract extension to stay at the Bulldogs this year. Thrown back in, Hickey and English. Hickey won it down. Kennedy for the Swans. Hand pass to Florent, couldn't take it cleanly. Kennedy had it stripped away from him from Liberatore. Dunkley tries to run onto it. Hand pass intercepted by Blakey. Tries to toe poke it forward. Then becomes the tackler on Dale. Had it, lost it. Holding the footy.
Did a good job to get hold of it, but just couldn't get rid of it.
Yeah, needing a little bit of composure from both sides at the moment. Lloyd kicks inside the 50. Haywood's there, spoiled away by Keith. Running onto it, Hunter for the Dogs. Heaney with a shove, tries to get him out of the way, and then becomes the tackler as he turns him end over end. And eventually the umpire will throw it up just a couple of metres inside the boundary. At right half forward for the Swans, it's the Bulldogs by 15 points.
Sydney a quarter and a half for just the 1 goal on the board from the restart. Little trickle kick along the boundary line from Hunter. Makes another 20 metres, and we'll have a boundary throw in between wing and half forward for the Swans. Mitch Cleary.
Just the latest update on the Mitch Wallace situation. He's come back from the rooms, front row of the bench. That left eye a bit more patched up now. Looks like he's ready to go.
This is the first game that Wallace has played since the last time they met, which was round 17 last year. From the boundary throw in, Mills hurried kick forward as he's being tackled, but Hunter chops it off for the Dogs. Hand pass to Daniel off the back flank. High up and under down the city wing, and Kennedy stands underneath it, takes the mark for the Swans.
And well protected too by his teammate.
Kennedy just backward of the logo. He's just going to kick a high ball again to a contest at half forward. McLean has a running start. No mark. Falls down to Daniel. Heaney's got him. And a ball up 45 out from the Sydney goal. Bulldogs by 15 points, 3 goals to 1. 13 minutes into the second term. We haven't had a goal since the 19-minute mark of the opening quarter.
The Bulldogs have kicked 3 behinds in this term. Heaney with the clearance to Kennedy. Had the arm pin. Had a long time. Umpire says long enough, holding the footy. And Lockie Hunter, who laid a good tackle, is rewarded. He'll take the free kick at the left half back for the Dogs. Hunter wants to feed the hand pass wide to Daniel, trying to get around the man on the mark. He goes short through the hands of Dunkley. Couldn't hang on to the mark. Does regather it though. Feeds the hand pass to McRae, who runs the city wing. Kicks up towards half forward. Ugelhagen on the lead. Tries to gather the half volley. Dragged down when not in possession. And Rampy gives away the free kick. Ugelhagen with the number 2 on his back. Left half forward, 70 metres out. Kicks long towards Bontempelli and Norton. Norton up with one arm, can't take the mark. Tom McCartan back to Mills, who fumbles it through for a minor score. Did that rather well in the end. 16 points. 16 is the Western Bulldogs lead. 4 behinds. The Dogs have kicked in this second quarter to none.
Ugelhagen's only touched it a handful of times.
Yeah, sure.
But he's attacking the ball really well in the air and on the ground. So it's not a terrible game so far. It's not a bad game so far. He's really
he's good.
Yeah,
I think he's got some talent, but we just got to let him show it.
Lloyd goes on a stroll from the goal square and then hits up Hickey.
And you're right, look at the ruckman just come back off the mark. Is that working, Sellers?
They all walk back off the mark.
Do.
And this is what they're trying to do. And it's interesting to watch because not too many do that. They all stand.
Live ball in the defensive 50, and Rampy has to try and push off Jamari Ugelhagen. Got a hand pass back out to Lloyd. Kicks down the boundary line. Heaney flies. Wanted a free kick. Didn't get it. Trapped by McRae on his knees. Hand pass to Hunter. Out to Gardner of the Bulldogs. Kicks to half forward. Blakey up over the top of Hannon. Takes the intercept mark on the back flank and then switches immediately to Stevens. Sydney away down the dock side. Stevens looks for McLean, kicks it over his head. Franklin charging up in the other direction. Taps it to Hayward, he fumbles. Richards for the Bulldogs. Hand pass to Dale on the wing.
Fires a kick up towards wing and half forward where Norton takes the mark. Has Hannon free in the right forward pocket. Now he spots him. Not a great kick. Paddy McCartan sits underneath it. Didn't complete the mark. Then dived on top of the footy. He's got a problem here as Rocksmith's over the top. The umpire eventually will ball it up.
Can't pull it back in.
Yeah, rather lucky there.
Wasn't it? It was touch and go, that one.
So 40 metres out from the Bulldogs' goal. Hickey wins down the tap to Heaney. Hand pass almost pinched by McRae. Rowbottom was tripped in the end. No, contact below the knees. It's going to be a Bulldogs free kick. No. Swans. He's pointed the wrong way. So James Rowbottom will take it.
Have a look at the players. There's just no one in the forward half for Sydney at all.
Western Bulldogs by 16 points with the only 4 behind so far in this second quarter. So it won't be a long quarter. Now to Paddy McCartan in the right back pocket. Now to Campbell, inboard to Blakey. Dropped the mark. Ugelhagen corrals him. Forces a kick up the wing where Daniel tries to run onto it. Wicks trying to work him off. Tackling him when not in possession. And the Bulldogs this time won't take the advantage. And Caleb Daniel will take the free kick on the wing.
Daniel's had 8 in the quarter now. Hunter with 9. He's got 15 for the game, Lockie Hunter.
They've had 4 shots on goal.
Daniel,
Sydney, and that's a really good defensive effort.
Daniel across the ground to English, who goes long, other side of the centre square to Keith. Hand pass to Dale, inadvertently sockers it away from himself. Goes back and collects in front of the interchange. Dale kicks down to the bomb, kicks it too wide.
Keith, just a terrible handball out to Dale there, made him chase the ball and put himself under pressure when he picked it up. That needed the hit, and the Western Bulldogs were out.
Sydney haven't scored in the quarter, which is now 17 minutes old. Yeah. Big Joel and Marty kicks down the wing, slips off the fingertips of Dale attempting to mark at the back. Goulden mops up the half volley. Hand pass to Warner. Now out to Franklin, 70 from home. He kicks to the top of the goal square. Stevens a little nudge. Umpire saw it. Into the back of Bailey Smith, and Dylan Stevens gives away the free. And Bailey Smith to take it, last line of defence for the Dogs. He'll hit up Vandermeer on the back flank.
The Bulldogs with 11 inside 50s to 7 in this quarter, but if they're like that last one from Sydney, they're not going to be very successful. Hand pass from Keith to Dale, tries to squeeze a kick into the wing where McRae can't get onto it. Hayward with the hand pass back to Parker. Here comes a chance. Kicks towards McLean, who takes the mark at left half forward. Franklin streams back inside the 50. Parker as well.
So they're all running back to goal. No one's coming at him.
They had nothing there. They had to slow play this one.
McLean just puts it in the direction of Franklin. Up against Daniel. In from the side to Ray. Offers good support, given the height mismatch, and sees it out of play with a decisive fist.
This is an extraordinary defensive effort for these guys. 4 points, 4 shots on goal they've had for the whole game. They've had similar inside 50s. They keep pushing it forward, and they just defend extremely well, which shows on the scoreboard.
Bulldogs by 16, approaching time on in the second. McLean to do the ruck work in the front half. Wins the tap and then wins the footy. Hand pass away to Warner. Gives it to Campbell. His kick smothered. Ricochets across the goal face and slips out of bounds. So a throw in next to the behind post for the Swans.
Just that last play, my little man, Caleb Daniel, was very thankful, I think, for Duray, who come over because he was one out with Buddy Franklin. A little bit of a mismatch, fair to say.
He goes all right, though.
No, he does. He goes very well.
Swans still looking for their first score in the quarter. Hammond doing the ruck work. Neither of them get a hand on it. Spills to Dunkley. High bomb out of the defensive 50. Blakey spills it on the way down. Dogs win possession off half-back. Vandermeer under pressure to Leber to Trelaw. All by hand. Gets it out to Hannon on the wing. Kicks to centre half forward. Skids in front of Waitman. Waitman can't pick up the greasy footy. Now collects. Tries to shake off Warner. Got it through to Rourke Smith. His kick picked off. And Mills intercepts for Sydney.
Went short to Heaney, who wanted to move it quickly, but there was 4-3 Bulldogs at half-back. Kick was just over the head of Mills, and DeRay comes up with it for the Dogs. Hand pass to the runner, Bailey Smith. Pulls his kick. Jamara on the lead, marks on his chest. Second time lucky for the Dogs, finding a target inside 50.
If you make a mistake against the Dogs, and seriously, their foot skills are really good, and the ground's opened up for them right there, and Ugelhagen runs into an easy one, this will be good for him. He's a beautiful kick, and he should make this easy.
So 1 goal, 1 next to his name so far. A third shot on goal inside the second quarter. He'll shoot from right on 50. Jamara Ugelhagen leads back on it and drags it to the right. In fact, it just squeezes in for a minor score. So 5 behinds for the Bulldogs in this second quarter. Sydney haven't scored. It's the Dogs leading by 17 points after they led by 12 at quarter time.
He's very casual in his run up for a goal, isn't he? He's very slow. Normally when there's no momentum, you don't kick the ball very far, but he's kicked that 55 still.
Easy. Didn't have to.
Rampy off the back flank, kicks long to the wing. Goulden went for a fly, can't complete the mark, and the ball ends up out of play in front of the interchange gates.
When you go for distance, you usually pull it, as you were, don't you?
21 travelled second quarter, Bulldogs by 17. Dogs have 5 behinds in the term. Sydney don't have a score. As Hickey wins the tap. Down to Parker. He's dispossessed. Spills to Mills. Out to Stevens. Shoots a hand pass wide to Hickey. Copped a bump from Hannon. Gets him over the boundary line, and the ump says, I'll spin that in. 17 points the Bulldogs lead.
Sorry, Corbin. The fact that Cordy has gone off, have you seen who their second ruckman is now? Mitch Hannon. He's going up against Hickey. And he just runs and tries to jump as high as he can to the ball.
Hickey comfortably palms it down towards Parker. Taps it on to Warner. Swans have it on the wing. Turns and kicks towards McLean at half forward. Marty's there as well. Brought it down. Bailey Dale front and centre for the Dogs. Gets it to McRae. Trelaw with a good little sidestep. Kicked off the outside of the boot out to Smith. Bailey Smith takes the bounce. Gets to right half forward. Ugelhagen on the lead and won't get to him. Great mark. Tom McCartan sliding in. Takes the mark in front.
Yeah, they've had some work down back, haven't they? The defence.
They've had a lot.
They've had a lot of work to do.
14-8 inside 50s this quarter.
Incredible.
The Swans are holding strong, but after a frenetic start to the match, it's been an arm wrestle. Tom McCartan up towards Amadi, who's up with one arm but can't complete the mark.
Well done.
Now on all fours is over the footy. Richards tries to lock him up. There's a bit of a head clash between him and Hickey. Warner for the Swans. Kicks towards McLean. Worked underneath it. Keith with the superior body movement. He was able to take the mark at half-back for the Dogs.
He's played a really good game up to half-time, Alex Keith.
And so's Gardner.
He goes out wide to McRae. McRae goes back to Keith. And Keith across the back line to Daniel. Remarkably, Sydney were beaten in the inside 50s last week by 18 and yet
18.
still won the game by 5 goals. Didn't really look threatened at any stage throughout as Liberatore off the back flank goes short to Vandermeer and he goes shorter still to Bontempelli. He's played a lot up front tonight. 17 points the Bulldogs lead. A goalless quarter so far, 23 travelled. Bontempelli to half forward. Waitman crashes through. No mark. Spills to Blakey. He's tackled. High half forward for the Bulldogs. Now Blakey sits on Waitman and the umpire says, I'll have it. Between wing and half forward for the Dogs.
And the Bulldogs have put a little bit of work into Nick Blakey. Only the 5, when I say only, he's the 5 possessions for the quarter, a little bit down on from his first quarter.
Thrown up, Hickey tries to take it out of the ruck and then releases a hand pass to Warner, who's gone. McRae lays the tackle and will win the footy back for the Dogs.
Hickey's English has had 15 possessions.
McRae takes the free kick inside the 50. Norton the target. Tom McCartan spoils it away. Heaney tried to come in and knock it away as Norton had a second grab at it. Couldn't claim it. Treloar with a hand pass to Bailey Smith. Feeds it back to Treloar. On 50 towards the goal mouth. Vandermeer's there. Stevens punches it through. Free kick for a hold. Going the Dogs' way. And the Sydney fans don't like that.
There's a fair bit of support for the Swans in their house as well, obviously with the South Melbourne jumpers on and the obvious origins, but...
Well, they did live here for a while.
And you can tell.
About 150 years.
She's not sure there was a lot in that one. Latham Vandermeer looking for the first goal of the quarter at the 24-minute mark. Puts it through. The goal umpire had to do a fair bit of racing to the left, but the all clear is given. And the Dogs stretch it out to a game-high 23-point lead. 4-8-32 to the Swans 1-3-9. At least there'll be one highlight in our halftime package. We've played 24 minutes in this second quarter.
Yeah, first goal of the quarter, Sellers.
Oh, that was a goal of the quarter. It probably was from the 10 metres out. But look, they've just defended and defended and defended as Sydney. What they've done is just taken away all their strength that the Doggies have got. Every time they get it, they do. And that's what I love about them. They play different clubs a different way all the time, and they've been fantastic. I mean, you just got to have a look at how they go about it. Don't matter how much you score, just don't let them score. And Johnny Longmire would be really pleased with this quarter, I'd say. Most of us aren't, because there's nothing to talk about. But for Johnny Longmire, he thinks that it was fantastic.
New game high, 23 points. The Bulldogs lead. Hickey in the middle wins it down. Parker, hand pass back edge of the square to Lloyd. High kick out to the wing, and Hunter underneath it takes the mark. This is his 10th disposal in the quarter, up to 16 for the night. He goes short to Treloar. Still on the wing. Down to half forward. Vandermeer, the goal kicker.
There they go again.
Just playing a bit of a kicking game now, the Western Bulldogs. They're just getting it, and this might have to go to a contest, but they're just looking for that easy hit up, and they're finding it.
60 out wide at half forward. Looks for Big English. Kicks it over his head at the back. Paddy McCartan collects on the bounce. Hand pass away to Parker, and now Cunningham, last line of defence for Sydney.
Short to Mills, still 30 metres out from his defensive goal. Now spots something he likes in the left back pocket. It's Stevens. He takes the mark. He's got a Marty and Hickey long down the line. Instead pulls his kick short, and Rampy takes the mark. So 26 minutes gone. Won't be a long quarter with just the one goal scored. Dane Rampy's in no urgency to move it quickly. Now called to play on. Sends a long kick down the wing. Amati sets himself. Franklin's there. Hickey as well. Hickey hits the ground hard. Hunter for the Bulldogs. Hand pass to Bailey Smith. Through the hands of McRae. Great run from Bailey Dale. To English. To Treloar. The Bulldogs hand passing on display. Bailey Dale long to the goal mouth. Norton can't take the mark. As it's spoiled through by Tom McCartan. And Aaron Norton's a bit slow to rise after an awkward landing. Through from minor score. So the Bulldogs with 1 goal, 6 in this second quarter. The Dogs by 24 points.
Of course, they were wayward in the final term last week against the Blues. They had their moments as Sydney trying to exit defensive 50. Lloyd kicks it very wide to Cunningham. Too much hang time, and Waitman kills it over the boundary line. So a throw in half forward for the Dogs.
On the back of what Salah's been talking about, Cody Waitman just ran 25 metres there and made a really, really good spoil. Gives another opportunity for another inside 50 because it's 55 out from goal.
From the throw-in, English palms it down. Warner, though, there for the Swans. Hand pass to Parker. His handball missed. Cunningham. Wallace onto it. Tackled straight away. Ball comes out. Hump says play on, and Parker jams it on the boot. Straight to Hunter, who was all alone at half forward, 20 metres off the stoppage. And Lockie Hunter marks right on the bell.
I'm not certain he's got the distance.
Oh, yeah, it's actually... No, I think he'll get it. He'll get it. Roost closed, ball travels further. So
he was almost left out in round one. He has had a big night with 17 already. Lockie Hunter, his kick won't get there. And lucky to sneak through for a minor score, so behind in the end for the Bulldogs. They've kicked 1-7 in the quarter. Remember, last week in the final term against Carlton, they kicked 2 goals 7 when they had their moments late in the piece. Well, for Sydney, that's the first scoreless quarter of the new season. 19 games into the year, the Swans 1-3-9 as they were at quarter time. The Western Bulldogs 4-10-34. It is a game-high 25-point lead for the Dogs. The goal kickers Clinchy, 1 for Jamara. He kicked the first of the night, 1 to Norton, Waitman and Vandermeer. While Lance Franklin was involved, had a set shot earlier, he missed. Hayward went in to kick the only goal for the Swans at the 19-minute mark of the opening term.
And in the Sheffield Shield final, Western Australia 3 for 290 against Victoria. So that stumps on day one. And England are through to the final, defeating South Africa by 137 runs. So on Sunday, Australia taking on England in the Women's World Cup final. And Australia taking on Pakistan. That getting underway in around 35 minutes' time. So half-time here at Docklands. The Bulldogs leading by 25 points. From the moment from Docklands, let's get the latest ABC News.
ABC News with Satyam Weinstein. Labor leader Anthony Albanese is giving his budget reply speech in federal parliament. He's promising $2.5 billion to improve the underfunded and understaffed aged care sector. Mr Albanese is promising to back and fund a wage rise for aged care staff if a Labor government's elected in May. Under Labor's policy, aged care facilities will have to have a registered qualified nurse on site at all times. Residents will get a minimum of 215 minutes of care each day, and a new mandatory nutrition standard will be introduced to ensure all residents receive quality food. Mr Albanese says Labor will focus on improving childcare and aged care for all Australians.
For too long, our youngest Australians and our oldest Australians and their families have been left with little alternative to shouldering the costs of a broken system.
A bid by the Liberal Party to move a legal dispute affecting pre-selections in New South Wales to the High Court has failed. Elizabeth Byrne reports.
The Commonwealth Solicitor General Stephen Donoghue brought on an urgent hearing in the High Court today in a bid to leapfrog a New South Wales Court of Appeal hearing. Alex Hawke and Susan Lee are among those affected by the stoush. Mr Donoghue said a ruling from the High Court would give a final resolution on the eve of an election. But Chief Justice Susan Kiefel has sent the matter back to the State Court, describing the constitutional issues raised as tenuous.
Meanwhile, in question time, Labor frontbencher Mark Butler questioned why the Commonwealth's most senior solicitor was asked to intervene in the case. Senior Minister Paul Fletcher argued it was not unusual.
Isn't this a new low to use government resources for a faction fight in the Prime Minister's own branch?
As the House would be aware, there are well-established protocols under which Commonwealth representation in matters of this kind occurs.
The Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has addressed the federal parliament this evening. It comes as Ukrainian forces prepare for new Russian attacks in the east of the country after warning that Russia is moving troops away from the capital Kyiv. Stubborn defense of Kyiv by the Ukrainian army has surprised many experts, with claims as many as 15,000 Russian troops have been killed over the past 5 weeks. Russia is promising to de-escalate attacks on the capital and the north of the country to focus on aiding 2 breakaway pro-Moscow eastern regions. US intelligence claims Russian President Vladimir Putin may have been misled by his military over the war in Ukraine. It comes as Russia announces it will scale back its operations after failing to capture any major Ukrainian cities 5 weeks into the invasion. Head of the White House Communications, Kate Bedingfield, says the invasion is continuing to isolate Russia on the world stage.
We believe that Putin is being misinformed by his advisors about how badly the Russian military is performing and how the Russian economy is being crippled by sanctions because his senior advisors are too afraid to tell him the truth. It is increasingly clear that Putin's war has been a strategic blunder that has left Russia weaker over the long term.
Ambulance Victoria says it will improve its workplace culture, described in a new report as toxic. Isabella Tolhurst with the details.
The Victorian Human Rights Commission has found that women are being prevented from rising through the ranks at Ambulance Victoria because of structural barriers. The Commission describes the organisation's culture as a boys' club influenced by the stereotype of paramedics as white, male and able-bodied. The Commission has found a gender pay gap of 10.8%. Commissioner Ro Allen says other Victorian boards should learn from the findings.
It certainly will leave a legacy piece. There's 800 pages of what boards should be doing.
The Commissioner says responsibility for the culture at Ambulance Victoria resides with the organisation's board.
Australian Federal Police and Border Force officers have intercepted a major international drug operation on South Australian waters. Police allege crew on board the freighter Kripos Bravery placed 416 kilograms of cocaine at a predetermined location in South Australian waters last month. Australian Border Force Chief Superintendent Alex Kelsall says 4 Filipino men have been arrested and charged.
After working tirelessly for 4 days on the operation, pretty well around the clock, ABF officers found 400 kilos of cocaine. We're proud to say this represents the largest seizure of border-controlled drugs in South Australia.
The cargo ship remains at Port Adelaide while investigations continue. You're up to date with the latest from ABC News. You can get more news from our website at abc.net.au/news.
If you're streaming the unmissable final season of Killing Eve on ABC iView, you'll now need to log in with an ABC account to watch.
When does the show start?
Log in today to add it to your watch list so you never miss an episode. And if you're binging great dramas or comedies or docos or Starstruck,
that's so cool.
You'll be able to pick up watching where you left off across your logged in devices.
I like you more and more and more the more I get.
Log in with your ABC account and make it yours on ABC iView.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
English squeezes a kick inside 50. Hannon's there. Jamara Ugelhagen flew. Couldn't take the mark. Hannon swoops onto it 45 metres out. Half pass to Ugelhagen. Surely taking over the shoulder. Jamara Ugelhagen comes in, starts it right, steers it straight through the middle.
Hunter. He's 55 out, but pressed up against the boundary line, Doc's side. He'll just kick it to the hot spot. Jamara in front of him, Norton. Comes floating through from 3 or 4 back, and Norton comes down with it. That's the one he needed. Through it goes. He pops through the Dogs' second.
DeRay takes the mark for the Dogs. Half pass to Hunter. Hard against the boundary, 50 metres out, long towards the top of the goal square. Norton the target. Waitman flew through the head back. Got the umpire's whistle, was taken high. Cody Waitman, point blank range, comes in and puts it through.
Marty wins the tap down to Mills. Hand pass back to Amati. Kicks to centre half forward. Franklin wanted a free. The advantage is going to be taken by Hayward into the open goal. Kicks Sydney's first.
Gray takes the free kick inside the 50. Norton the target. Tom McCartan spoils it away. Heaney tried to come in and knock it away as Norton had a second grab at it. Couldn't claim it. Treloar with a hand pass to Bailey Smith. Feeds it back to Treloar. On 50 towards the goal mouth. Vandermeer's there. Stevens punches it through. Free kick for a hold. Going the Dogs' way. And the Sydney fans don't like that. Latham Vandermeer looking for the first goal of the quarter at the 24-minute mark. Puts it through. The goal umpire had to do a fair bit of racing to the left, but the all clear is given.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Thursday night footy, round 3 of the AFL kicking off, and at halftime it's the Western Bulldogs leading by 25 points. 4-10-34 to the Swans 1-3-9 for our ABC local radio audience that have just joined us from budget coverage. Matt Clinch alongside Corbin Middlemass called the action. Mark McClure and Brent Harvey, your experts, with Mitch Cleary down on the boundary. The Bulldogs trying to avoid a 0-3 start for the first time in a decade, and the Swans looking to continue on with their momentum following last week's big win over the Cats, in which Buddy Franklin kicked his 1,000th goal At quarter time, it was the Bulldogs leading by 12 points. In that second quarter, the Dogs kicked 1-7 as Sydney failed to score. So, Mark McClure, give us a bit of a summation for our listeners that just joined us about what your key takeaways so far, although for some there might have been a bit of sweet relief not seeing the last half hour.
Well, to the football people who really want to see scoring, they wouldn't like this. But I love what Luke Beveridge has done here to his team. He's made the first two games he's played against the D's, they got bowled over. The second game they play against the Blues, they get bowled over. So guess what he does? He says to Sydney, we're not going to let you score at all. They did not score 1 point in that quarter, and he'd be cheering, saying, well done to you. And then they didn't score. They've kicked 1 goal for the quarter. So for mine, I think Luke Beveridge would be very, very pleased with his troops. They've been fantastic. They've kicked so many points. It's ridiculous, 4-10 to 1-3. Sydney didn't score at all. That is a thing of joy for him, and that's what he wants to do, because he needs to win a game of football. They stifled the opposition. They just pushed him down. You can't kick long into the Swans forward line because Buddy Franklin doesn't take high marks. Buddy's got to take him on the lead, and no one else is there to help him at all in any way, shape or form, Boomer. That's the big key for them, and they need to work harder to chip the ball and move it. But you know what? The defenders of the Doggies have got them worked out. They must have watched the tapes, and they go to the side when they know where they're going to lead to, and they cut them off, and they do. That's happened from start to the end of that second quarter. It's been extremely disciplined, outrageously, just blocking and stifling the opposition in all those areas. Not great to watch for people on TV, but you know what? The Doggies don't give a hoot.
No,
they just want to win a game of football, okay? And they're going to get their way today if they can kick the ball straight through the middle of the sticks, because they're getting plenty of chances.
18-8 inside 50 sellers. You mentioned the defensive mechanisms of the Bulldogs this week. The reason why it's 18-8 is because they're getting repeat entries. The Swans will win the ball and kick it out, but as we've seen from up here, their defensive layer, they've got to go through 2 or 3 Western Bulldogs. They're going to have to be really quick with their ball movement or really smooth with their ball movement. At the minute, that's not happening for the Sydney Swans because there's enough pressure in the forward line just to make them hack it out, Bulldogs mark, and get another inside 50. When you do that to a team, you put them under enormous pressure, hence why it's 14 scoring shots to 4.
Heaney's not hardly got a touch.
No, I shouldn't have said nothing before the game.
One of your love
My man,
child
he hasn't done a great deal, has he? What's he had there, Clinchy?
Yeah, Isaac Heaney has had
no impact.
disposals.
But not much impact.
No shots on goal. No, he's had no impact. He's taken one mark. Yeah,
see, but I can't find a player for Sydney who has had an impact. Can you? I suppose Hickey's the only one. He's had a lot of ball, but what's he actually done with it?
Yeah, Hickey's been good. He's had 16 touches. English. It's actually a great thing to watch these two ruckmen go at it. Mitch Hannon, when he comes in the ruck, the poor fella's got to try to jump over Hickey. But 16 to 13. English, what I'm liking about English, he's pushing forward and making Hickey accountable. I don't know if Hickey's had that too much in his game, because a lot of teams won't lower their eyes to the ruckman. They're looking for English a little bit. I still think they can look for him a little bit more. If he hits the scoreboard, he goes over the top and he's a better player than Hickey at the minute. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens this second half, see if Sydney Swans can actually hit the scoreboard.
Well, they've got to change their style somehow, and they need to actually open up their forward line a little bit more.
They've gone with a very big forward line, haven't they, Sydney, with Franklin, Marty, McLean.
Yeah, McLean.
And so far it's proved more confusion than it probably has clarity, but they were the highest scoring side for the opening 2 rounds, and yet they failed to score in that second quarter. So footy can be a funny game.
Yeah, why? People watch you. People stalk you. People run you down and try and beat you. And that's what Luke Beveridge has done today. He's desperate because he knows if they're 3-0, there's no chance to make the finals or make the top 8.
Can I just mention one player, Treloar? Now, normally he gets a lot of football. It's ball on the ground. Tonight, I've really noticed his decision-making has been fantastic by hand. And the Western Bulldogs in general, for me, their hands are back. It's when they won the flag a few years back now, but they won that game through hands, and they're finding their mojo back with their hands. That's when the Western Bulldogs are playing their best. And I love when Treloar doesn't have his 40, he has his 26, 27, hits the scoreboard and makes really good decisions. So I think he's been fantastic tonight. I think he's had 13 for the half.
Yeah, they had a trademark passage of play in the second quarter where they worked it from half back to half forward, all by hands before the important kick inside the 50. So Brent Harvey, Mark McClure, Matt Clinch and Corbin Metamas with you, calling the action. Mitch Cleary, of course, joins us on a Thursday night. Mitch, no shortage of team news floating around. The big one has been around the Fremantle coach ahead of the Derby. Justin Longmuir, unfortunately, won't be there
Yeah, the second coach going into COVID isolation after Michael Voss. He's only a close contact, Clinchy, so the WA close contact rules have got Justin Longmuir. It means the assistant Jamie Graham will coach Fremantle on the weekend. The first man ever to coach West Coast and Fremantle in AFL history. He coached West Coast once a few years ago when Adam Simpson took a game off. And of course,
How'd he go?
He beat the Bulldogs, beat Luke Beveridge. So he's one from one, Jamie Graham, and he'll get this chance second up against his former side this weekend.
Of course, the doubleheader tomorrow night. It'll be interesting to see how that's received with the early match, Melbourne and Essendon at the MCG 7:20, and then an hour later the showdown, an hour and a bit later, Adelaide and Port Adelaide. So not ideal for footy fans who want to watch both. Of course, this was designed for the AFLW Grand Final, which would have been on the Saturday. The big interest around that match was whether Rory Sloane would be able to get up for the Crows.
He hasn't been able to get up. We'll miss that game. They do get Rory Laird back, the Crows. Some other team news across the weekend, Clinchy. Devon Smith has been dropped by Essendon after his 4 disposals last week. Anthony McDonald-Tipungwuti back through the VFL, so a big rise now for fitness for him. He'd been sort of spoken about being a month or so away, but the Bombers will bring him back through the VFL. For Carlton, Mitch McGovern goes out of that side with a hamstring injury. Another soft tissue for Mitch McGovern. Oscar McDonald with a back injury, so their back line will be depleted. Jaden Stevenson returns for North Melbourne. And just one other one across the weekend, Sean Higgins back from his resting at Geelong. Luke Dalhouse has been dropped for the Cats.
Thanks, Mitch. Nice work. Mitch Cleary with you down on the boundary tonight for the Western Bulldogs and Sydney, with the Dogs leading by 25 points. Boomer, in terms of the COVID challenges of this season, how hard has it been for some of the clubs? One of the big debates is how many players down is too many. We heard the West Coast Eagles had to make 13 changes and the game continued on. What are you seeing around your time at North Melbourne as to what protocols the clubs can try and do to do their best to try and restrict it?
Yeah, it's been amazing, really. We in the 1 week we had David Noble went down, and I think Anthony Rocker, an assistant coach, went down as well. So we were Zooming meetings and doing all this sort of stuff. I think at once we might have had 8 players all together out of the. Lucky for us, it was pre-Christmas, so it was obviously pre-season. I don't know the answer to. Does the game go on? Do you postpone it and try to find a gap somewhere midweek on a Tuesday or Wednesday night and play that game? Like, if you look at it, you're bringing in waffle players like the West Coast. Of course, I know there's 22 out there and people will say that, but they're playing waffle for a reason. Unfortunately, they're not on an AFL list. You're hindered a fair bit. Does the game go on? I don't know the answer to a Clinchy. If we had 6 or 7 players, 8 players in 1 week go down, all senior players, it's going to make it extremely difficult for anybody to get up and win, no matter where you bring your players from. And yeah, you like to rely on your VFL players and say they're actually going okay, but they're not AFL players.
Boomer, I want to ask you a question. I mean, the midfield's getting smashed out here at the moment. Do you reckon you'd try Kennedy in there, get him off the half-back flank and go, let's get some bulls in this place?
But you have to try something, Sellers.
Oh, you've got to do that. You've got to have Kennedy, you've got to have Mills, you've got to have Parker, who hasn't been in the middle much. You've got to start to say, well, hang on a second, maybe we made a mistake with picking this team, and change a few little things. Kids called Lloyd in there, get some big bodies in there so that they can actually change what they do. Yeah. Because at the moment, they're going to get killed.
I wouldn't be exploring, and I wouldn't be bringing...
win, they're not far behind.
No, absolutely. Yeah. The opposition's kicked 4 goals.
I know.
You've only kicked 1 for the half, but the opposition hasn't kicked 8 or 9. No. They've only kicked 4 as well. So you're right in this game. What's the margin? 20 points or
20 points.
It's not a lot at all. It's 4 goals, and in 4 goals, Sellers, you kick that in 5 minutes now.
Oh, absolutely.
So
it's 25.
You're not out of the game. So
25 points. 4 goals.
Yeah, it's 4 goals. Kennedy,
I wouldn't be surprised if they get over the top of it, if they get themselves going.
Kennedy's the obvious one. If you're going to make a move, you bring Joey into the middle and you say, rightio, we need some big bodies around the Bontempellis and the likes, and win the ball and actually get it going
forward
our way.
Yeah. And lock it in. They can't lock it in.
Yeah.
There's always so much focus on Lance Franklin. He was involved in a collision in that second quarter, which you noticed, Sellers, and was a little slow to get back up and then sort of properly made his way around the ground. He had a stint on the interchange as well. He did take a beautiful pack mark, but missed, surprisingly, with his set shot that he had in the opening quarter. But really, that's been his only major involvement in the game.
I think he's a little soft in the hind quarter. That bum tapping stuff they had last week, all that, There's 3,000 out
by
there
the
hitting him
crowd.
on the backside and doing all that sort of stuff on the head.
I thought he was going to crowd surf at one stage last week.
I thought he was
They should have
too.
picked him up and took him
I tell
straight
you
over
what,
to the race.
Let me tell you, he handled it so well.
He did. It was amazing.
Incredible. He was so patient and so caring for everyone else.
I wasn't.
He's a terrific guy.
I wasn't kidding before when I said I was at home feeling uncomfortable. I
Yeah,
was
me
literally
too.
at home and I was watching him. I started getting feeling this is getting a little out of hand here. This guy's got to get out of here.
What about the blokes in the car park? Two
Oh,
guys.
what about
outside
that?
the ground.
What about that picture? They're walking in with their boots on the concrete outside the SCG.
Ollie Florin and Chad Warner found the easiest way to get out was just to leave the ground. There's a game taking place in the NRL, round 4 action. The Gold Coast Titans and the West Tigers. No score through 33 minutes. Pakistan has won the toss and elected to bowl in the second one-day international from Lahore. Australia going with the same 11 that took place in the first one-day international. Australia will take on England after England were victorious against South Africa in the semi-finals of the Women's World Cup. And Western Australia in control, 3 for 290 at stumps on day one in the Sheffield Shield final from the Wacker against Victoria. Second half action, here we go. The Bulldogs by 25 points. Here's Corbin Middlemass.
English wins the hit out down to Parker. He's spun around by Bontempelli, dispossessed. Ball comes to McRae of the Bulldogs. Hand pass over his shoulder. Still in dispute. Bontempelli and English fighting on. English wins it. His hand pass though knocked down by Mills. Still inside the centre circles. And Bont and Mills both go to grab it and the umpire says, I'll have it.
Kennedy's gone to the wing, Sellers.
Yeah,
So
but
it's
I
a little bit more outside, but he's still up on the midfield.
He's a bull. Put him in there.
Squeeze the kick out to Florent. Hand pass to Goulden, who overruns it. Dogs win it back. Dale to Bontempelli. Hand pass in the middle of the ground. Wanted to get it to English. Throwing his body at it. Parker extracts the footy. Hand pass to no one in particular. Vandermeer has a fumble. Still in the centre square. Second effort. Gives it to English. Kicks inside 50. Juggled effort for Norton. Gets a hand pass out to Smith. Bailey Smith shoots goalward. He misses. Out to the right. Behind 4-11 to 1-3. It's the Bulldogs by 26. Sydney had a scoreless second quarter. Their lowest halftime score since round 4 2020, with over 1-3 against the same opponents at the MCG.
Lloyd to Cunningham, back to Lloyd, up to Ollie Florin, who takes the mark at left half back, works it over the top to Goulden. Now into the hands of Lance Franklin. Up on the City wing. Drives a long kick towards the 50. McLean the target, worked underneath it by Keith. It gets to the bat. Hayward tries to run onto it. Pinches it in front of Daniel. Runs out on the right-hand side and snaps it through. Hayward for his second. And the Swans second. Their first goal since the 19-minute mark of the first quarter comes inside 2 minutes of the third term. At last, after being held scoreless in that second quarter, the Dogs 4-11-35 to the Swans 2-3-15.
Well, it's a little bit better. They've kicked their second goal in a minute and a half of the second quarter. Hayward's got both, as Clinchy mentioned, so they do need to add a few more goal scorers. But again, nothing pretty about that, but they just got the ball going forward. So as we spoke about that at half-time, just get it. Give the forwards an opportunity. You have to get them inside 50 for them to have an opportunity.
What I like was that Buddy was high.
Yep.
Get him into the play, get him up there. He's not on a one-on-one down the back half where there's 10 people jumping all over the top. In the middle of the ground, you've got a chance to move. And he picked up the ball and then banged it long, and all of a sudden, everything changes.
He's got some wheels, Hayward, hasn't he? He's very quick.
Got something about him, yeah.
The Dogs had the previous 10 scores. They kicked 1 goal, 9, and now Sydney with their first scoring shot since the opening quarter. It's a goal through Hayward, back in the middle of the ground. Warner off his knees, hand pass out wide, but Liberatore comes up with it. Kicks down the wing. Bailey Smith collects on the bounce. Hand pass away from Blakey. Got it to McRae. The 1-2 back to Bailey Smith. Goes off his left inside 50. Paddy McCartan out to meet it. Courageous stuff. Bangs body with the Bont. And the Bont's a little slow to get up as Paddy takes his kick and swings it out to Kennedy. Half back for Sydney.
Kennedy takes the mark, looks up to the wing. McLean's on a long lead. It bounces just in front of him. Keith offering chase, and it goes across the boundary line into the Bulldogs bench.
Now, once again, when the Sydney Swans exit their 50, they kick up, they look up, and they see the Western Bulldogs players leading charge. So it's hard for them to get it out of there.
Brent Harvey with you on Grandstand AFL. Hickey one down the tap to Parker. Hand pass to Mills, to Warner under pressure. Got a hand pass forward to Parker. He's caught stationary, tackled by Hunter holding the footy. And the Dogs, through good intent, win it back on the wing. Lockie Hunter to take it. Possession number 19 coming up for him. Second highest possession getter on the ground behind Jake Lloyd. Sends the ball towards English on 50. Good vertical leap. Blakey spoiled it down. Vandermeer front and centre for the Dogs. Hand pass to Dunkley, to Bailey Smith, to McRae. Kicks inside the 50. Waitman's there. The meat and the sandwich. Norton knocked down. Tom McCartan goes down. Libber's still standing, and Libber snaps on the right and puts it through. Tom Liberatore doing his best at the back of the pack. Now they might just check there wasn't a hand on this. As Libber snapped on the right boot, they're going to have a score review just to confirm.
Ooh, at the base of the goalpost.
Yes.
Yeah, it's hit the post. Well, yep, that's a kick out.
So right at the very bottom of the right goalpost, it has brushed it past.
Actually, that's unusual. They didn't see that clearly.
I think the ruling, the field umpire did say his on-field ruling was a behind.
Okay.
So just waiting for the all clear from the arc. Well, it looks like it's definitely kissed the post, so it should be a relatively simple one. Which is much the surprise as to why it takes so long.
Yeah, it's usually the way, isn't it?
Why?
Did we get the snicko?
Have we got no technology at all?
Well, they're checking it 15 times now.
Yeah, I know. It has to have hit.
Weren't we getting the wave files at one point, the snicko?
Don't know about
Is that part of the technology last year? Here we go.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, right, you are.
We got some bars on there, so this will be behind.
Not sure the snicko adds all that much that the naked eye can't see, to be honest. Cricket, yep, absolutely. Freeze it in, frame by frame, footy.
Yeah, but cricket ball goes a bit quicker than that.
Yeah, exactly. So finally we get the result.
And
behind is
4.5 minutes.
Yeah, and Tom Liberatore's good snap, kissed the post. A 21-point Bulldog lead.
If we're paying that much for the technology, Quincy, we've got to pretend that we need it.
Hey, that's true.
Here's Blakey, goes on a stroll from the kick out and then goes along to the wing. Hayward with the fly. Giray over the top, just punches it to the boundary line, and a throw in front of the interchange where Mitch Cleary is for us. Massai.
The Dog skipper Marcus Bonson-Pally copped a big knock to his left shoulder. He looks a little winged still, but he's pushed away the physios. He's remaining on the ground.
He's banged up, isn't he, the Bont? To start the new season, an ankle complaint, and now hobbling through this stoppage as English wins the hit out from the boundary throw in. Still fighting for a clean possession. It comes to Hickey. Hand pass through to Kennedy. Kicks Sydney to half forward. McLean and Keith out after it. McLean needs a kind bounce. Taps it to the boundary line and whacks it back to Heaney. Heaney trying to soccer it through. Keith traps it. Hand pass for the Dogs under pressure to Scott. Now to Gardner. Back pocket. Hooks a kick out of the defensive arc. English the target. Hickey tries to spoil it. Falls to Dunkley. Hand pass into the path to Hunter. Defensive side of the wing. He's pushed up to kicking the footy.
Umpire.
And a free kick to Hunter coming back.
That's a little soft, wasn't it?
To the Dogs, number 7 on the wing.
Surprised it wasn't given downfield, given he disposed of the footy. Hunter turns and comes inboard. Scott takes the mark.
He's been all right tonight, Scott.
He's had a good presence and a good work rate about him. Kicks long towards Jamara in the pack. Almost pinched the mark away from Rampy. Umpire calls play on. Bullet pass came the way of Floyd. Worked it up to Franklin. He then comes inboard to Wicks. Thought about giving it back to Franklin. Now kicks to McLean. He can hand pass it back to Buddy. Into the centre square. Gets around Walksmith. Probably doesn't have 60 in him. Puts it out to the left. Heaney just got there. Cannons into the fence as he races back and marks up against the left behind post. Running full pelt, Isaac Heaney was able to get there.
I think the lower part of his leg just whacked off the advertising hoardings as well, holding his shin.
Just couldn't pull the handbrake.
They kick this, it gets them back to 15.
And this is the play the Western Bulldogs do not want in form, because he will kick 3 or 4 really, really quick ones.
He's become an X-factor. Isaac Heaney steps out, snaps across his body and puts it through. Much to the Swans fans' delight. 2 goals to start this third term, and the Bulldogs' lead all of a sudden has been cut back to 15 points, having once led by 25 points at halftime. It's the Bulldogs 4-12-36, leading the Swans 3-3-21. 9 minutes gone, third term.
And both goals have come because Buddy Franklin's had his hand on them twice. He goes, mate, and he's playing himself higher on the ground, and that's a good move by John Longmire. Get him out of that square and put some other players down forward. Look, I love watching Buddy and all those sorts of things, but you know what? You can see his talent, you can see his understanding of the game, and the players love him around the place. But Heaney's kick from the boundary line, fantastic. They're back in this. 15 points is nothing, and they're starting to play well. Oh, he hit his knee on the fence.
Oh, I knew it was somebody, when he was lining up to take that kick, he bent down to grab the lower part of his leg. Back in the middle, Hickey tries to knock it forward for the Swans. Florin off the square, lends a hand pass to Mills, kicks inside 50. Heaney collects on the bounce, nice tackle, Duray. Got it out to Mills, he's tackled, dispossessed by Dunkley. And Dunkley, the second of the tacklers, will be rewarded. He goes short to Bailey Smith. Missed the first game of his career last week after debuting round 1 2019 against the Swans. He goes short to Treloar. City wing, hand pass to Dale, kicks down the wing to Liberatore. Dogs kicked 1 goal 9 before Sydney have kicked the last 2 in the game. Liberatore's kicked to no one in particular. Hickey grabs it, his hand pass swatted down. Nice work, Rourke Smith in the other direction, forces a neutral ball and a boundary throw-in. Half forward for the Dogs. 15 points, the Bulldogs lead, 10 played, third term.
Took Sydney till the 19-minute mark of the opening quarter to kick their first goal, and the 2-minute mark of the third quarter to kick their second. English wins down the tap. Rowbottom had it. Free kick for over the shoulder going English's way in the ruck battle against Tom Hickey.
It's a guess sometimes, isn't it?
Look, to me, you've got to let them have it. The ruckmen have a go at each other. It happens all the time.
He goes wider to Bailey Smith, only gained about 5 metres as he moved the ball 15 minutes laterally. And Smith, who's shown he's pretty good from the pockets, but this will take his best. The size just to put it towards the teeth of goal. Jamara Ugelhagen in the pack, Norton there as well. Bontempelli crumbs it, can't get a kick out of the congestion. Josh Kennedy for Sydney. Hand pass to Stevens, back to Paddy McCartan to Rowbottom. They find the outlet, kick now to Florent, who takes the mark in the right back pocket for the Swans.
Swans want to go quick. He goes short to Heaney. And Heaney realises there's not a heap up ahead. He's going to go long to Hayward, trying to kick it over the defence and puts it on the chest of Hayward, who marks forward of the wing. He's calling for Franklin, who leads back out in one-on-one with Gardner. Gardner spoils. Franklin a little death touch away to Kennedy.
Again.
Hand pass to Hayward, to Franklin. Back to the wing for Heaney. Goes off his left to centre half forward. Big fly, Parker claims it. The umpire's going to say it's a free kick from McLean for an incident that's happened off the ball. Regardless, it's a set shot for the Swans. Mitch Cleary on the boundary.
Tom Hickey's had a stack of problems with his right knee. He's come off complaining, hobbling, and now he's getting that right knee looked at. It's just hanging by a thread, really, with a stack of plaster tape right now. So I'll keep you posted, but it's not good signs for the Swans.
The Swans scoreless in the second term. And Hayden McLean with a set shot here. Pumps his fist as it sails through. They kick 3 on the bounce. Game on at Docklands. From 26 down, the Swans are within single digits. Bulldogs 4-12, Sydney 4-3. Bulldogs by just 9 points now, 13 played, third term.
So they kicked 1 goal in 55 minutes, Sellers. They've kicked 3 in 12 minutes. It's a funny game, football, but once again, you've picked up on this. The first 2 goals came when Buddy Franklin actually touched the ball backward of centre for the Sydney Swans, and just then he got involved in the play twice. But it was both times outside 50.
Unbelievable.
So when he's up the ground, he creates. We know what a lovely field kick he is. He didn't kick the ball then, but the 2 stars for Sydney, Franklin and Heaney, both touch the ball then. When they touch it, something normally happens.
I don't even care if Herb Elliott was on him. You couldn't keep with Buddy. He's so quick and he moves so beautifully.
Well, Gardner actually did okay on the...
Yeah, I understand that.
He tick lead, he reset and come back at the ball. Gardner read it really well, but then Buddy had another 2 touches, 15 metres off him.
Brent Harvey and Mark McClure with you. Marty gets the clearance after following up the right work. Kick towards half forward. Charging onto it, Scott then went to have a bounce as he ran away from Wicks. It didn't come back. He regathers, kicks to Vandermeer. Just can't take the mark. Cunningham with a crucial touch onto it. Lloyd under immense pressure. Norton for the Dogs. Hand pass, miss Rourke Smith. Over the top of it, Stevens can't knock it clear. Smith has another go at it. He's locked up by Tom McCartan, and the umpire will throw it up. Mitch Cleary on the boundary.
Tom Hickey has gone straight down to the Sydney rooms with a concern around that right knee. 2 physios alongside him. Looks like they might try and jab him up, but he looked really sore going off.
Neither Amati or English got a tap onto it. McRae feeds the hand pass out to English. Kicks inside the 50. Vandermeer had it spoiled away from him for the Dogs. Parker gathers for Sydney. Hand pass to Campbell. Kicks out to the City wing. Heaney flies on the back of Richards. Quick as a cat. He's back onto his feet. Running alongside Goulden, who gathers the footy. Kicks up to McLean. Can't take the mark. Does regather at left half forward. Back to Goulden. Kicks towards Hayward. Bounced off his chest and then he landed on DeRay. Quickly back onto it, Hayward. His kick is partially smothered by DeRay. It's a good effort from both of them, given they were physically exhausted. And the ball rolls out of play, 50 out from Sydney's goal. Bulldogs by 9 points, but the Swans have kicked the only 3 goals so far this third term.
Bit more heat in this game now, isn't there?
Last 3 for the Swans, back to 9 points. Amati at English comes down to Rowbottom. He's tackled, dispossessed, free kick Dogs. Advantage applied, Smith, hand pass out to Treloar. Races from the stoppage, kicks up into the front half. And Jamara takes the mark just forward of the wing. He rolls and kicks off his preferred left boot to the hot spot. Wallace getting back. Wallace wheels it in. Back with the flight. He hugs it to his chest. And the Medi sub who came on in the opening term, Mitch Wallace, is going to have a ping at the sticks from 20 out, just right of centre. And if you weren't with us earlier, Zane Cordy, suspected concussion, tapped out in the opening term. Popular member, second generation Bulldog, hasn't played since round 17. And he misses.
Ouch.
Gee, that's another one that they leave out there, the Dogs. Their wayward kicking continues. They are 4-13. Sydney 4-3. It is a 10-point game. 16 played in the third term. Bulldogs by 10.
Caught that poke in the eye, Mitch Wallace. So his first disposal of the match is a behind. Lloyd brings the Swans back into play. Takes a bounce as he clears the defensive 50. Hand pass to Rampy at left half back. Drives a long kick towards Heaney. He's out number 2 on 1. Bontempelli put a good block on, allowed Richards to take the mark. Short to Treloar. Feeds the hand pass away to Dunkley. To Bontempelli. Kept running. Kicks inside the 50 and Waitman hugs the mark to his chest. Ugelhagen was coming out on the lead, but Waitman was in the right spot at the right time. And he'll shoot from directly in front, 45 metres out.
Just got to get your ball into your best player's hands, don't you? The kickers, he doesn't miss Bontempelli when he's going inside 50. Love watching him kick the ball.
Cody Waitman had kicked a goal in the opening term. The Bulldogs with 2 behind so far in this third term. They need a response. Waitman comes in, deliberate with his approach and steers it straight over the goal umpire's hat. The Dogs with their first goal of the third quarter. First is the 24-minute mark of the second term, and the light show's on display for the Bulldogs home game. I'm sure we've seen that so far tonight. Bulldogs by 16 points, 5-13-43 to the Swans 4-3-27. 17 minutes gone, third term, ahead of Boomer and Sellers. Mitch Cleary on the boundary.
Sydney's sub has been confirmed. Ben Ronk into the game. Tom Hickey subbed out. That right knee that's caused him so much drama since he's arrived at Sydney has flared again. He's down in the rooms. He will be taking no more part in this game.
That's a huge out. That is a huge out because both ruckmen were playing very well. English now. Have a look at this centre bounce, guys. Who have we got in there? That's Mitch Hannon.
Yeah, Mitch Hannon and the ruck.
Marty. This is 2 ruck rovers going at it at the minute. Sellers, that last goal, the ball was shaping out to the wing. The Western Bulldogs brought it back through the corridor by hand.
He won it too,
and
Marty.
It was fantastic.
Down to Rowbottom, hand pass to Warner, back to Amati, crunched in the tackle by Dunkley, taken to ground, he holds the footy in and the umpire says ball up. It's a big goal for the Dogs there after Sydney kicked the first 3 of this third quarter, back to 16 points. Amati grabs it out of the ruck from the restart, kicks out to the outer wing, Stevens pushed off it, Smith grabs it hurriedly, kicks forward, but Lloyd at the drop takes the intercept mark for Sydney. Dogs by 16, 18 played in the third. Sydney, though, 3-1 in the quarter. Both without a big man, Cordy and Hickey subbed out of the game as Lloyd goes long to a contest. Amati spills it, slips to Daniel of the Bulldogs. Hand pass from Smith to his namesake Bailey.
Hand pass to Treloar, trying to find an avenue forward. Snaps across his body on the left. High ball for Vandermeer to sit underneath. Crashed into by Lloyd, spoiled down. Still a chance for the Swans. Mills can't break clear. Tackled by Bontempelli. And the umpire will throw it up on the City wing.
The Western Bulldogs need to get English back onto the ground as quick as possible and get a huge advantage at all stoppages around the ground and centre bounces.
Bulldogs by 16 points from the throw-up. Dunkley trying to shovel out a hand pass. Treloar finds some space. Veers out to the left. Had a bounce and then ran into a dead end. Feeds the hand pass back to Richards, who switches play. Looking for Daniel, the littlest player on the field. Can't take the mark. Scraps well against Wicks and Haywood, but then sets Keith in all sorts of trouble. Wicks comes up with it for the Swans. Hand pass to Gordon. Heaney's all on his own. He marks directly in front, 35 metres out. Hand passes over the top. Buddy runs in and puts it into the crowd, into the signage. Thought he was going to put it into the third deck. Instead, he just steered it into the signage on the second level. And the Swans answer back to cut it back to a 10-point margin. Buddy Franklin with his first, 1001. The Swans 5-3-33, trailing the Western Bulldogs 5-13-43.
4 goals to 1 for the quarter. Incredible difference when you have a look at what they've had in the start. It's 5-13 now to 5-3. They're in this game. They've got 10 points in this game at this stage, and they're coming over the top of them. And it's all been to do with Buddy. And you're right with Heaney. Heaney's a star, and he's the other one who can actually change a game. Get it in their hands, get it in the best players' hands, and you will win.
Richards, really poor option to come out this way. It doesn't matter if it was to Caleb Daniel or not, but the switch wasn't on. The last goal, they took the ball coast to coast and came back through the middle. Richards elected to come outside the corridor just then, and it really cost the Western Bulldogs.
Quicker restart than Buddy's last goal as English wins the tap down to Dunkley. Hand pass to McRae, kicks to half forward. Wallace there for the Bulldogs. Hand pass to Leber, kicks hurriedly top of the goal square. McCartan down there with Rampy. That's Tom McCartan. Rampy brings it down. Hand pass to Lloyd in the back pocket. He shrugs the would-be tackle from Waitman. Kicks out to half-back. Gordon the target. Knocks it down in front of Stevens. Stevens tackled. Hand pass to no one in particular. Gordon goes back, collects.
And are they out?
There's a free kick. It's coming back. It's going the Bulldogs' way.
Richards.
And Ed Richards is going to take it, but I'm not sure what that was for, Sellers, but
doesn't matter now.
Richards from 70 out is going to put it to the top of the goal square. Tom McCartan backing back, takes the intercept mark. Last line of defence for Sydney. They've kicked 4 goals to 1 in the quarter. They're within 10 points.
Short to Rampy and then the hand pass to Kennedy. Had to dribble a kick forward under immense pressure from Bontempelli. And now Warner lays the tackle on Dunkley.
Oh, no.
That's a free
That's just
kick
ridiculous.
in the back after it's over the boundary line.
Seriously terrible umpiring.
You are allowed to show a little aggression.
You're allowed to put them on the ground.
Yes, good point.
Is that for too rough? Is that what that free kick is?
Oh, yeah.
It's a sling tackle,
back.
he said.
It wasn't a sling tackle at all. Slowed him down.
Dunkley comes inboard to Liberatore. Tried to put it into the path of English, but Tom McCartan was away to that and takes the intercepting mark for Sydney. All the way back to Cunningham, who has it in the left back pocket for the Swans. Bulldogs by 10 points, and here's Buddy Franklin all the way back in the defensive 50.
Is he lost down there?
No, I think he's just working his opponent over.
Jeez. He goes short to Dylan Stevens. Where it marks at half back.
I think he's backed himself for the possessions.
5-13 to 5-3. Long kick for Stevens down the wing. A hand on it from English. And the pack forms behind him. Wicks is wrapped up as soon as he grabs it. So a ball up on the City wing. Hickey subbed out. Mitch Cleary reporting a knee concern for Tom Hickey again in his 4th club. And Zane Cordy in the opening quarter with suspected concussion. Umpire tosses it up, down to Bailey Smith to the Bulldogs. Races out of the stoppage with it to Richards and now to Dunkley. Kicks to English, who takes up Logo City wing.
Wanted to feed the hand pass over the top, had a bounce, sold Vandermeer into trouble. Got the hand pass forward to Mitch Wallace. He hand passes inboard to McRae. Dogs have it at half forward, kicks inside the 50. Bailey Smith takes the mark as Warner cannons into him. Could have been either Smith or English. Both had pushed forward in the left forward pocket. And Chad Warner just has to be a bit careful here with his aggression starting to bubble over.
Serious.
Frustrated at conceding what was a soft free kick.
Yeah, it was soft.
And here's Bailey Smith. Hard out in the right forward pocket, looking to extend the Bulldogs' lead. It's all the way across the face and misses everything.
Well, they've had 3 or 4 really soft free kicks in this quarter.
Dogs still by 10.
It's a good call out on Chad Warner as well. That wasn't, I mean, I don't want to overstate, it wasn't all that dissimilar to the Willie Rioli one with Raul a few weeks ago, where he sort of leaves the ground as the player's already taken the mark. Wasn't going to take the mark or affect the contest, and just used his body to clatter into the player that's just taken it. Luckily, Smith and everyone was okay as the long kick from Rampy out to half back for the Swans, but it's coming back. Bontempelli to Wallace, knocks it down to Dale, kicks to the goal square. Waitman and English down there, off hands. Waitman tries to soccer it through, but beating him back, Blakey pushes it over the line for a rush behind. 5-14 the Bulldogs to 5-3.
5-14.
It's 11 behind the lead for the Western Bulldogs. 25 played in the third.
It's 1-4 to Sydney's 4th straight in this third quarter. Lloyd straight down the middle to Mills, long to the wing. Amadi up, can't take the mark, spins out of the Gardner tackle. Hand pass to Franklin, swings on the left, kick missed Parker, who then bounces into his opponent in Dunkley. Dogs trying to knock it clear. To raise over the top of the footy. The umpire gives them a while to see if it can come clear. It won't. And he'll toss it in the air. 55 metres out from Sydney's goal. It's the Bulldogs by 11 points.
4-1 in the quarter, Sydney's way. After a scoreless second term, Dale grabs it. He's tackled. Says he got taken without it. The tackle from Gordon, advantage applied. Bailey Smith took it off the back flank. His kick ends up out of play, and Bailey Dale looks at him and has his hands out saying, what on earth did you do that for? Now it's a boundary throw-in on the wing.
So he took possession of the ball, got tackled, lost it while he was going to ground.
And got a free kick.
And got a free kick behind the man, which was...
It was ridiculous.
Yeah, bizarre. Absolutely it is.
Bulldogs by 11, 26 played in the third. McLean whacks it. Wide of the stoppage, Bailey Smith, first one there for the Bulldogs to Leber. Hand pass to McRae, gang tackled as soon as he's got it. And the ball up between wing and half forward for the Swans. Dogs by 11, approaching three-quarter time.
Western Bulldogs have led all match by 12 at quarter time, by 25 at half time. Liberatore gathers hard against the boundary. Kicks a high ball towards Vandermeer underneath it. Campbell spores it down. Bontempelli spun out of traffic beautifully. Kicks towards Waitman, who flies over the back of Ugelhagen and Paddy McCartan. What a mark.
What a mark, but what a play by Bontempelli. He should have got tackled twice. Blind turns, pushes off, and puts it in a great little slot for Waitman to take that little hanger.
It was the old blind turn out of traffic from the Bont. And Waitman pinched it off the head of Paddy McCartan. He didn't mind the mark either. Now he needs to finish the goal. 2 goals next to his name. Shooting from just inside 50 out to the left. Waitman comes in, strikes it beautifully. Steers through his third. And the Dogs have found a bite back. They extend their lead back to 17 points. 6-14-50 to the Swans, 5-3-33. 27 minutes gone, third term on ABC Sport.
When they pick a captain for a team, and you have a look at a bloke like Bont, he is a star, and he has actually held that team together for a couple of years. Made the grand final. They won a grand final 4 or 5 years ago, but they backed up last year, made a grand final, got beaten comfortably. But he is what you actually want in your team. Smart, clever, always in action, tough. Keeps them together, and a beautiful kick, and all the things you want. They love him, and that's why they're a good team.
It was a fair mark, Sellers.
Oh, it's a beauty, but you know what?
Well, he jumps, doesn't he? He just
has a crack at everything.
Jumps.
Yeah. You'd rather him jump than sit around and do nothing.
The big little man, Cody Waitman, with threes. English palms it down. McRae clever, taps it to Dunkley, kicks to centre half forward. Blakey knocks it down to Campbell, hand pass to Warner, his handball, a turnover. Vandermeer away to McRae, back to Dunkley in the centre square, kicks out to half forward, Treloar's onto it, 70 from home, looks into the pocket, hand on it from Norton, slips down to the Bont, Bont snaps back to the top of the goal square, needed a kind bounce, McCartney got one, hand pass away to Mills, he's wrapped up, Jamara's got him, holding the ball, surely the umpire says play on, now English is tackled and will have a ball up. Gee, Mills had an age to get rid of it. Jamara got him cold and the umpire said keep going. 30 out, ball up, forward 50 for the Dogs.
English wins down the tap to Waitman, who jams it onto the boot. Don't tell me. Just to the goal line, we're getting back. Paddy McCartan sees it through. In fact, it was Tom McCartan who was racing back, who ushers it through for a minor score. It's good ruck work from English to get it down to Waitman. Bulldogs by 18 points, 29 minutes gone, third turn.
Weren't we told in the pre-season that if you decide to... that's your advantage if you want to try and take on the tackler?
Don't go there.
Jeez. Ara should be shooting for his second.
You can't beat head office.
Blakey goes wide to Warner. Warner back to centre half back for Cunningham. Hand pass to Blakey. Kicks down the wing. Giray in the box seat. Can't complete the mark. Spills to Treloar. Dogs back with him. Hand pass to McRae. Out wide to Bailey Smith. They're coming forward again. Looks for the Bont. Kicks it over his head. Still alive. Up against the boundary line. Cunningham back flank for Sydney. Hand pass away to Rampy. He's tackled. Taken out of play. Umpire says throw it in. 55 out from the Bulldogs goal. The momentum turning again here. So Sydney kicked the first 3 of the quarter to get within 9, but the Dogs have kicked 2 of the last 3. They lead it again by 18 points, half-hour mark of the third.
It's taken a while to warm up this game, but it's going to reach fever pitch as Samardi took it out of the ruck against English. Kicks Sydney into the middle of the ground. Goulden up, can't take the mark. At the back edge of the centre square, Warner had a go at it, trying to get it to Blakey, came back to him. Hand pass to Goulden on the City wing. Kicks up to McLean. Takes the mark. He has only Franklin at half forward. Wicks now pushes back as well. So with none of those options appealing, turns and kicks it over the head of Campbell. Opens the door for Vandermeer. He thought he might have been held when he wasn't in possession. Campbell takes it back, sends it back to where it came, and Mills takes the mark. No damage done.
Callum Mills, possession 17 as he goes down to half forward. Heaney trying to turn his opponent inside out. It's Warner, the first one back there. Hand pass to Ronk under pressure. Swings it out to Franklin. Franklin bowls over Giray and then hugs the footy to his chest. The 2 former Hawks, and we'll have a ball up half forward for the Swans.
There's a good match-up in the goal square for the Sydney Swans with Heaney on Dale, and Heaney's pushing everybody out.
Both rucks had a piece of it. Spills to Bailey Smith, and Marty locks him up. And a ball up, still on that forward 50 arc. Half forward for the Swans.
Umpire quickly throws it in the air. Comes down to Dunkley, tackled by Amadi. Ball spins to Franklin. He pulls a kick over the top. Great work from Daniel, who spoiled it away from Wicks, who was going back with the flight. Knocks it out of play for a boundary throw-in. Sydney have it deep in attack, closing in on three-quarter time. Thrown back in. McLean to do the ruck work against English. Tries to use his body. English just slaps it down to Liberatore. Tackled by Franklin. Play on's the call. Treloar's kick doesn't clear the danger. Florent took the mark. Called to play on. Not 15. And the umpire will ball it up 45 metres out from Sydney's goal.
So for all their work in this quarter, Sydney, they've made up to 7 points from the halftime deficit of 25. From the restart, Blakey held to him and a ball up. 18 points the Bulldogs lead. They've kicked 2 of the last 3 in the game after the Swans got within 9. Whack down to Dale at centre half back. Hand pass to Richards. Kicks long to the broadcast wing. Bouncing footy in front of Harry Cunningham. Rolls onto his preferred right boot down to half forward, but Richards comes out to meet it for the Dogs. Hand pass to Hunter, who was busy early. Kicks to half forward. Norton takes off. Can't come down with it. And Campbell scooping up around the back. The bell goes before he can kick it away. And at three-quarter time, it's the Western Bulldogs by 18 points. Scoring shots 21-8. And yet the margin just 18 points. The Dogs are 6-15-51. Sydney are 5-3-33. The goal kickers, Cody Waitman has 3. He leads all on the ground, and then 1 each for Jamari Ugle-Hagan, Laith Vandermeer and Aaron Norton. While for Sydney, 2 for Will Hayward, and then singles for McLean, Heaney and Franklin kicked 1 in that quarter. Goal 1001. The Bulldogs by 18 at three-quarter time. Clinchy.
In the NRL, round 4, 48 minutes gone in the match between the Gold Coast Titans and the West Tigers. It's locked at 2 points apiece. And meanwhile, in the cricket, the second one-day international taking place between Australia and Pakistan after Pakistan won the toss and elected to bowl. Australia are 1-4-10 with Aaron Finch out, LBW to Freedy for a duck. Travis Head on 8, looking to follow up from his century, and Ben McDermott on 1. So Australia 1 for 10 in the 4th over. In the Sheffield Shield final, Western Australia are 3 for 290 at stumps on day 1 against Victoria. A century for Cameron Bancroft. He's still there on 135 unbeaten. Sam Whiteman 85 and Hilton Cartwright 41 today. 3/4 time, the Western Bulldogs by 18 points on Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Hi, I'm Sam Hawley, host of the new podcast ABC News Daily. This is the show that will help you understand the issues affecting your world. Every weekday morning, you'll get one big story from the news source you trust, told by the journalists you know best, in under 15 minutes. Find ABC News Daily on the Listen app or wherever you get your podcasts.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Towards the 50, McLean the target, worked underneath it by Keith. It gets to the bat. Hayward tries to run onto it, pinches it in front of Daniel, runs out on the right-hand side and snaps it through. Hayward for his second. And the Swans second. Franklin now kicks to McLean. He can hand pass it back to Buddy. Edge of the centre square. Gets around Walksmith. Probably doesn't have 60 in him. Puts it out to the left. Heaney just got there. Cannons into the fence as he races back and marks up against the left behind post. He's become an X-Factor. Isaac Heaney steps out, snaps across his body and puts it through. Liberatore gathers hard against the boundary. Kicks a high ball towards Vandermeer underneath it. Campbell spores it down. Bontempelli spun out of traffic beautifully. Kicks towards Waitman, who flies over the back of Ugelhagen and Paddy McCartan. What a mark. Waitman comes in, strikes it beautifully. Steers through his third.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
3/4 time at Docklands, Thursday night footy, the start of round 3 of the AFL, and it's the Western Bulldogs leading by 18 points. 6-15-51 to the Sydney Swans, 5-3-33. So in that term, the Bulldogs kicked 2 goals 5. The Sydney Swans kicked 4 goals straight. The Swans with the first 3 goals got within 9 points before the Western Bulldogs finished with 2 of the last 3 goals of the quarter. Matt Clinch and Corbin Bittermass calling the action. Your experts are Brett Harvey and Mark McClure.
4 scoring shots to 7 again, the Western Bulldogs way, but Sydney 4 goals straight. Western Bulldogs, what was it? Did you say 2 goals? 2 goals 5. Bad kicking. I haven't seen a game like this for a long time. 6 goals 15 looks like a cricket score. No, 6 for 15. It's
looks like another 10s game.
It does a little bit.
Yeah.
So as you hit the nail on the head, Sydney got themselves back in the game when Buddy Franklin got up the ground and got involved. Not necessarily needing to kick the goals. He kicked one with a Joe the Goose over the top from Heaney, but Heaney got himself in the game as well. And they're their 2 superstars that they need to play well. I think Hickey out is going to hurt him. You just mentioned then that they'll 3 hit-outs down. I think the Western Bulldogs, they're going to run over the top of them in terms of the hit-outs. So if English can have a really big quarter and give the Western Bulldogs first use, their inside mids will go to work, and I think they will give more inside 50 opportunities to the Western Bulldogs forwards to kick a score to beat the Sydney Swans.
They got a few catch up here, 18 points I think it is. Is that the difference in the game? I think it is, 18.
Yep.
And I had just had a look at the free kick count. It's 25-8 Doggies' way. Our Doggies are in front in every statistic in this area. They've had lots of the ball and they've moved it pretty well. But they have been atrocious at scoring is one of the big things in that area. If they had actually scored properly, they would have been miles in front. The people would have had to go home early. It would have been easy. But it's not over yet. This is not over. 18's not a big score. And Sydney had their chances, but they made mistakes in crucial times during the game when it came forward and messed things up a little bit here. But you know what? There's nothing in this game. There's only 18 points. You can kick 5 or 6 goals a quarter most times if you want to. 3's not a big deal. Sydney will come at you again, but the Doggies have been brave. I love what they've tried to do. They've worked hard. They've pushed hard. They've set themselves up well. When they get the ball, they hurt you and push it forward, but they haven't hurt them enough on the scoreboard to win this game yet.
15 scoring shots to 4 after quarter time. and the margin at quarter time was 12. It's now 18. So for 11 more scoring shots in the last 2 quarters, they've been able to add an extra 6 points to the margin.
Yeah, but this game's not over. You can't tell me that they're going to walk away with it.
Oh, I think they've left the door ajar, as we like
That's
to say, Sellers.
yeah.
If Western Bulldogs kick the first goal, Sydney have kicked 5 for the game. They're going to have to kick 5 to win in the last quarter. I know they're capable, but I think if the Western Bulldogs can kick the first goal with the ruck ascendancy that they're going to have with Tim English, I think they'll get over the top.
They've dominated a lot of the stats tonight. The disposals.
That's a brave call.
I know,
Contested
mate.
possessions.
I'm going out on a limb. It's my first game in 3 years. Come on, fellas.
Inside 50s and the tackles. Bulldogs play 18 points into the final turn we go. English beautifully taps it over the back to Bontempelli, who gets the clearance, kicks towards Liberatore. Blakey got a fist in there to spoil it away. Mills one direction, McRae the other. McRae got over the shoulder.
They got a free kick, did they?
And the Bronx cheers as Sydney gets one their way. Mills short to Lloyd. The hand pass to Blakey, cruising through the middle of the ground. Not a good kick for Franklin. And in front position, Gardner takes them up.
That was Buddy's fault. He should have came towards him. Should have gone towards the ball carrier.
Ryan Gardner has done some good things tonight. Has it at half back and then goes long down the wing. And Marty stands underneath it, no mark. Follows up though and then bangs it back to half forward. Buddy and Gardner at the drop. Gardner spoils. Alive for Wicks at half forward. Hand pass to the Butler. Butler kicks it. He's got 2.
Okay, we're on now, Sellers. They didn't get the first. Sydney did.
Sydney kicked the first of the final term. The Bulldogs lead cut back to 12 points. And Franklin 1,002 and counting. 6:15 to 6:3. 60 seconds into the final term.
Buddy wasn't going to get beaten twice there. The ball came back in after he'd been beaten in the first one by his opponent. But then, the second one, no. And then come to ground, brought it to ground, and all of a sudden he starts to move. And there's no opponent can keep with this guy anywhere around the place. So picks it up, a little quick handball to him. He finished off beautifully. Keeps him in the game, back to 12.
Certainly does. Oh,
He's reluctant to be that high marking target inside 50, isn't he? But as soon as it hits the ground, he wants it back with those foot skills.
He's great to get a handball receive. He's a modern-day forward where he can do a little bit of everything. Sellers said he's not a high-marking forward anymore, so he's changed his game.
Yeah. Swan strike inside a minute. Treloar tried to break clear. Umpire let it go a long time and then Pace holding the footy.
It's unbelievable.
It seemed like the ball was about to come clear, and then when it did, the umpire penalised him. Chad Warner to take the free kick. Sends Sydney inside 50. Beautifully pulls his kick. Parker all on his own. Marks directly in front, 45 metres out.
What a smart move by Parker.
How does that happen when you have so long before the footy was retrieved?
Because they've always kicked long.
The fact that he's shaped to go on his right boot, he's pulled that kick back inside. All the Western Bulldogs, like they have all night, have been transferring and getting outside their opponent. You pull that one back in, it's a great kick.
5 goals against the Giants in round 1 for Luke Parker from just inside 50. Goes whack and just misses to the left-hand side. The Bulldogs lead is 11 points. Sydney have made their intent known. All out attack through the opening 3 minutes of the final term.
Dogs last 16 scoring shots. They've gone 3 and 13. Sydney's last 7 scoring shots. They've gone 6-1. And that behind hitting the post from Luke Parker on the way through. Dogs by 11. Daniel out of defensive 50. Got a turnover. Franklin onto it. Hand pass to Gordon. Gives it to Parker. Kicks for Hayward, who marks in the pocket. And Will Hayward, left forward pocket, is having another look at the sticks for Sydney.
They've had 3 or 4 inside 50s already in this quarter. Repeat entries will always work if you keep at it.
Hayward's going to snap across the body. He's got 2 already. He's hit it a little skinny. Misses to the near side. 6:15 to 6-5. Bulldogs by 10 points.
Clinchy, can we see what Joey Kennedy had in that third quarter, playing out in the wing?
Yep.
4 minutes here into the final term.
He had 6 in the third quarter. As Bailey Dale's about to bring the Bulldogs back into play. Called to play on. Kicks up the outside of the boot for Bontempelli. He dropped the mark at full stretch. And out of play it goes. Left half forward for the Swans. So just a few errors starting to creep into the Bulldogs game. Can't think of he's dropping too many marks like that. He was at full stretch trying to make up the ground.
I think it was a poor kick. Just quietly.
Yeah. Thrown back in, English and Amadi. Amadi tries to get rid of English, now becomes tackled, didn't get a disposal away. Amadi kicks inside 50, leading out Dale. Takes the mark against Goulden.
The umpire put his whistle to his mouth and just forgot to blow it, I think.
And I tell you what, it was holding the ball.
And Dale takes a bounce, gets the Bulldogs out of defence, kicks out to Keith, who takes the mark at left half back.
Dogs did lead this game by 26 and 1 point early in the third. They now lead by just 10 as Keith goes long. Back in defensive 50 to Gardner. They shift it out to the dock side. On half-back finds English. And English is going to kick down the wing. Spots Bontempelli in a bit of space. Nice kick. Marks on halfway. Hand pass to the runner, Bailey Smith. His mullet flapping as he kicks to the top of the goal square. Norton's up, can't mark. Falls down to Wallace. He snaps. One handy one for the Dogs. The sub, Mitch Wallace, just gives them some breathing room again at the start of the final term. Back to a 16-point lead. 7:15:57. Sydney 6-5-41. 5 played final term.
It was a great kick by English, but Bontempelli did the hard work to get outside. He seen that Amadi was chasing him, and he did the hard work. English, fantastic kick. Quick hands to Smith, who's been running all night and got himself right back into this game. Kick the ball up high to Norton, you're always going to be a chance, but a fantastic crumbing goal by Mitch Wallace. Great spot. Ball falls in the front of that pack. It's amazing when you're teaching young kids, sellers, they all want to go to the side and get the ball on the boundary and kick the little dribblers. You go and play the percentages, go to the front of the pack. 8 times out of 10, you're going to get the football.
It's good to see Wallace back.
His first game since round 17 last year when he took on the Swans. Back in the middle, English one down the tap, trying to get the clearance. Amadi swoops onto it for Sydney. Rushes a kick towards half forward. Wicks onto it. Onto him, Daniel. Couldn't get the hand pass to Franklin, and Dale for the Bulldogs fires a kick to English. Marks at the back edge of the centre square to Bailey Smith. One way, Campbell the other. Couldn't take it. Heaney gathers for Sydney. Hand pass to Blakey. Over the top. Little bit of a fumble, but enough time for Florent to gather. Hand pass back to Campbell. Treloar, great chase. Forced the kick, which just couldn't get over the fingertips of Treloar. Trying to get it to Hayward. The Bulldogs come up with it. Dale fires a kick out of defence. Finds Dunkley at halfback.
Hand pass to his good mate Treloar. Kicks into the front half. Vandermeer takes the mark. Looks inside the forward 50. Has Jamara out wide. He goes long to Norton. He leaps up. He can't mark. Tom McCartan spoils. Waitman tries to get boot the ball. He's out of play. Next to the behind post, and we'll have a throw in deep forward for the Bulldogs. Waitman with 3 tonight. The highest goal kicker on the ground. The Bulldogs by 16. 7 travelled final term.
It wasn't a great kick by Vandermeer. Didn't really give the forwards any advantage at all.
Norton doing the ruck work up against Amadi, who wins it down to Parker. Squeezes a kick to the top of the defensive 50. Bontempelli onto it. Hand pass picked off though by McLean. Hand pass to Blakey. The Lizard under pressure. High up and under kick to the dock swing. Keith, the only player who flies for it. Takes the mark on his chest as Hayward tried to charge late. Keith plays on. Kicks long inside the 50. Norton the target. Got a hand to it. Tom McCartan. The umpire said he'd claim the mark. I think Norton might have got a hand to it, but the mark is paid to Tom McCartan. Switches it out to Rampy in the right back pocket.
16 points the lead for the Bulldogs. Rampy closed down by Waitman. Lays it back by hand to Cunningham. Hand pass back to Rampy.
Chasing Waitman.
Kicks to half back and finds Heaney. In the defensive 50, he looks for Wicks in a dangerous one-on-one. Over his head, Bulldogs back with it. Giray kicks wide and Bontempelli takes the mark. Hand pass over to Hunter. 60 out at half forward, puts it into the pocket. Waitman gets there on the bounce, shakes Cunningham, snaps to the top of the goal square. High ball, Jamara, only one who went up and went to spoil. Punched it over the boundary line. He could have marked uncontested. 15 out right in front.
You don't see that very often. That's a key forward. The only one that touches the ball with a single-handed fist. That is that was different.
I don't think he thought the ball was going to get to him.
I think the review will be interesting.
Thrown in, English goes early against McLean, knocked it down to Liberatore. No way forward there. Eventually does find a way to release the footy, but Dunkley can't break clear.
If you're the forwards coach at the Western Bulldogs, sellers, what are you telling him right there on Monday morning in the review?
Back yourself.
English wins down the tap. Waitman charging through. Can't get a disposal away. Liberatore over the footy. Parker over him. And now Parker has a second go, but Dunkley and Liberatore lock him up. 35 metres out. from the Bulldogs goal. They lead by 16 points.
Up it goes. Jamara doing the ruck work down to Bontempelli. Hand pass back inboard towards Dunkley. He gives it to Bailey Smith. Through traffic, shoots goalward but misses. Out to the left and behind for Bailey.
7-16.
To Sydney 6-5, a 17-point lead for the Bulldogs. 10 played final term.
Incredible.
Blakey brings Sydney back into play, rolls the dice straight down the middle, looking for Heaney, sets himself, Gardner punches it down, Rowbottom couldn't gather the footy, Liberatore got down low, Bailey Smith gathers to Dunkley, chips it over the top, Treloar marks right on 50. Careful not to take a step forward and play on. He puts it into the pocket, looking for Bontempelli over his head, couldn't pull in the one-hander against Josh Kennedy, and it goes out of play up against the right behind post. Dogs deep in attack, leading by 17 points. 10 minutes gone, final term.
From the boundary throw-in, Norton grabs it out of the ruck. Hand pass out to Hunter. Hunter breaks the McCartan tackle, gives it to Jamar. He's tackled by Hayward. Lost the footy. Half back for the Swans. Paddy McCartan collects. Hand pass to Parker, kicks to the wing, and Wicks takes the mark. Got rid of Daniel. Wicks now switching play one side of the centre square to the other. Kennedy backing back, marks on the wing. Dogs by 17. Hand pass to Goulden. Collects on the bounce. Hands it over the top to Ronk. Trying to sidestep Rourke Smith. Gives it back to Errol. Goulden preferred left side. Hits up Franklin. Marks forward of the wing. Buddy loads up. Kicks it to the top of the goal square. Heaney flies through. No mark. Falls down to Wicks. Wicks snaps. Wicks goals. Back to an 11-point game. 7-5 to 7-16. 11 played in the final term. And Sydney answer straight back.
I'm going to harp on it. Where did Franklin get that football, Sellers? He put it at the top of the goal square because he got it 80 out. But there was a little bit of
pressure on, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. But there was some nice feet by Goulding, I think it was, on the boundary here. He made somebody look a little bit silly. You go long to the top of the square. You got Heaney, Hayward up there. Harwood, sorry. They're going to fly. There's something is going to happen. And it was a fantastic goal by Wicks because he was actually out of the play. He made up a lot of ground there, about a 25-metre run to get front and centre, and got rewarded with a really good goal.
Brent Harvey with you on ABC Sport. The Swans kicked the first 3 goals of the second half. They got as close as 9 points. They're within 11 here. Bounce back into the middle. McLean into the ruck up against English. English works it to the back, looking for Bailey Smith. Can't break clear. Tackled by Warner. Ball spills out towards Treloar. Tapped it away from Lloyd. Chance for Stevens. Couldn't take it cleanly. Florent in for the Swans. Hand pass straight to Hunter of the Dogs. Retreats back by hand to English. Tries to sidestep McLean. Nice agility from the big man. Kicks inside 50. Paddy McCartan doubling back. Norton came flying out. Joey Kennedy's there for support. Hand pass back to Rampy, kicks around his body into the path of Mills at half-back. Coming the other direction, Richards. Mills bounces off him. Hand pass to Kennedy, kicks up to Heaney at half-back.
Swans are on up ahead as Heaney turns and kicks long to Franklin. Franklin flies, Gardner spoils. Franklin still alive at ground level, taps it out wide and out of play it goes. And the Swans trying to claim it came off the boot of Gardner. The field umpire says that'll be a boundary throw-in.
You might as well try.
That was English's second bounce for the night. It reminds me a bit of Harry Madden, your old mate. Hey? Running down the wing, Bork and blokes bouncing.
Bulldogs by 11, 13 travelled in the last. As English reaching over the back, wins the tap. Rowbottom, though, gives it to McLean. Hurried kick top of the goal square. Dale out to meet it. And Dale can rebound out of defensive 50. Looks for Wallace. One-on-one with Campbell. Wallace tries to soccer it as he's being tackled. A hand over the shoulder against Campbell, and a free kick for the Bulldogs, defensive side of the wing.
Dogs by 11 points. Mitch Wallace the sub into the action in the second quarter. With Cordy out. Goes back to Bailey Dale, who goes short, and Richards takes the mark. Ed Richards back to Dale, and right half back. Drives the Bulldogs now towards Norton. Not a good kick. Tom McCartan takes the mark. Just pushed off him at the right time, and he takes the mark at left half back.
He's been pretty good down back. Tom McCartan. Yeah. Both the McCartans been pretty good.
He's taken, is that 8 intercept marks for Tom McCartan? He's had a good night. Kicks up to the wing. Florent couldn't take it. McRae gathers for the Dogs. Hand pass ricochets off a few Swan players.
There's a free kick here.
Sydney. Free kick for Holt.
Very late. Very, very late.
And Ollie Farr is going to take it on the wing. So against Richards, Florent called to play on. He can go short to row bottom between wing and half forward for the Swans, trailing by 11.
He's got Blakey here running shotgun. Thought about using him. The Dogs defenders close in and Rowbottom decides to kick it to the top of the goal square. Keith, the only one that flies, takes the intercept mark.
They got no one down there who can mark a ball. That's the problem. Buddy was a long way away from them. They're all smalls.
Halfway through the final term, Bulldogs by 11. Keith to the back pocket for Hunter. He's going to take on Stevens on the mark. Now from the back flank, kicks down the wing. Bontempelli and Mills and the bot marks. Defensive side of the logo, City side for the Bulldogs.
The Bont wants to move it towards half forward where he's got Wallace and Ugelhagen. Neither could take them up. Paddy McCartan brought it down, got it to Lloyd. Now the hand pass to Campbell, almost ricocheted into Ugelhagen. Good defensive pressure. Sydney under enormous pressure now as Ugelhagen lays the tackle on Paddy McCartan. The ball spills clear. Vandermeer can't knock it clear. McLean just kicks it up to the wing.
That's
and Wicks
that's
came
50
in late,
metres.
got right in the back of
That
Keith.
should be 50
and
metres.
it will be 50.
It is.
Alex Keith is down as he crashed in late. Wicks with the hand up immediately to apologise, but it's going to be a 50-metre penalty for Alex Keith.
That could end the whole show.
Which, as long as he's right to kick, will put him within scoring distance.
Yes, very late. Very late.
So the umpire stops about 35 metres out, slightly left of centre. Keith has just kicked the 2 goals throughout his 73 games. He's been such a consistent cog for the Bulldogs in defence. They've been undersized and they've found ways to fight on. Can Keith strike a crucial blow here? 16 minutes gone, final term, the defender comes in and puts it through. And the Dogs come from everywhere to celebrate with him. A courageous moment as he stood his ground over the overhead mark and was able to capitalise in front of goal. And the Bulldogs are back out by 17 points. 8-16-64 to the Swans 7-5-47. 16 minutes gone, final term. The Bulldogs with 2 goals to the Swans 2 in this final term.
Ugelhagen then, he had 3 attempts at the tackles. He didn't get a free kick or didn't do nothing, but he put enough pressure on for that kick to go long and wide, and Keith was in a fantastic position. Obviously got the 50 metres and finished well, Sellers.
Yeah, that's just sort of half-ended the game in the sense when you think about it. There's still 10 minutes to go, or just under 8 minutes to go, or 9 minutes to go in the game. So there's still a chance, but you know what? That might be just the end.
Yeah.
And he goes straight back to his post at fullback to stand Ben wrong. Alex Keith, after just the 3rd goal in his career, as Clinchy mentioned. English wins the tap back in the middle. Liberatore at the coalface, hands it out to Bailey Smith, who's been heavily involved, and he kicks wide to Rourke Smith, who marks defensive side of the Dock wing. Hand pass to Bailey Smith. Loops it to Bailey Dale. Over the top to Vandermeer. They're down to half forward, the Bulldogs. Vandermeer kicks to the hot spot. Paddy McCartan thumps it away. Dunkley and Lloyd racing back. Lloyd rushes it through. And a rush behind added to the Dogs' tally, so they're 8-17. Sydney are 7-5. It's a 18-point lead for the Bulldogs. 18 played in the final term.
As Lloyd looks to bring Sydney back into play. Comes straight down the middle and kicks towards Heaney. The set play. Scott in from the side. Spoiled it down. Dale falling over. Gets a hand pass to Liberatore. To Treloar. Kicks out to Hunter, who takes the mark just short of left half forward. Can poke it over the top to Scott. Charging late was Mills. Got a hand to it and brought it down. Wicks arrives for the Sydney Swans. Hand pass to Florent. Now works it to Stevens. Up to the City wing. And Hayward marks on his chest.
Kicked a couple. Will Hayward had a shot earlier in the quarter. Missed it. Dogs went down the other end and restored a 16-point buffer. They now lead it by 18 as Hayward goes long to half forward. Ronk and English both there. English collects. Heaney tackles him. Out of play and a throw-in, 60 out from the Swans goal. Mitch Cleary on the boundary.
Bulldogs currently have Jamara Ugle-Hagan and Aaron Norton on the bench. Norton looks really sore, getting that right calf re-strap that he carried into the game. Wouldn't be surprised if they called it for the night for him.
Yeah, I see the Bonds down there with you as well, Mitch, so it's not really a tall marking target up front with Wallace, Hannon and Waitman in their forward line. They get a clearance from the stoppage as Liberatore kicks it in their direction on the wing. Here's Wallace tangled up with Paddy McCartan. Ball comes to Waitman. He's tackled, dispossessed. A fumble from Lloyd. He's crunched after collecting the footy. Scott's got him and the umpire says ball up. 60 out from the Bulldogs goal at left half forward. It's an 18-point lead for the Dogs approaching time on in the last.
A lot of numbers around this stoppage as the umpire throws it in the air and Marty tries to flick it to the back for Heaney, but Scott's onto it. Kicks the Bulldogs inside 50. Rocksmith in from the side. Almost juggled the mark against Rowbottom, who scraps after it. Rampy gathers for Sydney. Hand pass to Warner. Nice sidestep around Waitman. The hand pass, though, asked a lot of Heaney. Turns it over. Treloar gathers. Pulls his kick. Almost a chance for Scott. Can't take the mark. And the Sydney Swans repel. Florent on halfback. Hand pass to Buddy Franklin. He's working the wing. Over the top to Hayward. He wants it back. Chips it inboard. And Rowbottom kept running. He marks between wing and half forward.
They're well set up back, the Bulldogs. Rowbottom just has to look sideways and goes out to Blakey. Blakey chips to half forward. Hayward low down mark. Still 60 out. Left half forward. Lays it off by hand to Blakey. Kicks into the pocket. Ronk hits up and takes the mark. He's about 35 out, left half forward. He's going to play on. He's going to snap. That's a perfect bender. He brings it all the way back for his first of the night. And we're not done here yet. The Dogs by 12 points. Time on in the final term. The Western Bulldogs 8-17-65. Sydney 8-5-53. Ben Ronk with his first.
I was just about to say, the build-up was quite good, but they got into a position of the ground where it wasn't great. It's a low percentage shot from the pocket.
Mate,
that was a beautiful finish.
You took the words out of him. I was just going to say that this is really difficult to kick.
Yeah.
He did it easy.
Like we didn't know why before he kicked it.
You know why? He didn't think too much. He just played on, just a natural performance.
Yep.
He hit it through the ball and finished and got the goal. But it was a difficult spot. They chipped around the boundary. Everyone likes it in the middle. But you know what? These kids can kick it from anywhere today.
Well, they do practice that.
I know
that's
do.
where they practice more from out there than they do in front these days.
Kicked 7
I don't know why.
Kicked 7 goals in his third game, Ben Ronk. So just reminding everyone he knows where the big sticks are and was able to keep this game alive. Bulldogs lead by 2 straight kicks. Back in the middle, big centre clearance. English wins it down decisively against Amati. Although it's Warner who emerges with it for the Swans. Chips it over the top to Goulden. Still at the edge of the centre square. Franklin on the lead against 2. Spoiled down by Keith and Gardner. Rowbottom front and centre. Sends it long to the teeth of goal. Wicks underneath it. Bontempelli crunches it through.
Wow.
Came in with full force and made sure that was going nowhere. But through for a minor score. Bulldogs by 11.
They worked pretty hard, the doggies. When you think about it, they worked for the whole first half and build a score and try to keep them at bay and give them nothing. And now it's all to no avail. This is an interesting time.
2-score game. Dogs by 11 points as Daniel kicks to half-back. There's a free kick. It's going to come to Dunkley. He was clipped high trying to take the mark by Lloyd, and he'll get the free. Left half back for the Bulldogs.
They'll go into slow play now with about 5.5 minutes to go. They'll chip the ball around a little bit. When they have to go to the contest, they'll play closer to the boundary and try to get some stoppages.
Game's record holder,
right.
Brent Harvey on Grandstand AFL. He goes short to Keith. Dunkley still in the defensive 50. And Keith, who kicked a goal in this final term, goes long to the outer wing. Jamara flies, whacked away towards Parker. He's dispossessed in the tackle. Spills to Scott. Hooks the kick down the wing for the Bulldogs. Tom McCartan back with courage. He's crunched, no mark. Spills to Hannon. Hannon's mowed down. Braden Campbell with a chase down tackle. Wins the footy back for Sydney.
Had 2 handball options. Probably should have just given the first one he's seen.
Campbell just limping as he gets back up as well. He goes short to Rampy in the defensive 50. And Rampy back to Cunningham. Left half back for the Swans, down 11, time on in the last.
Oh, went short for Blakey on the bounce, trying to gather, tackle by Dunkley. Got the hand pass back to Lloyd, under pressure from Dunkley, turns it over. Hand pass, Wallace couldn't take it. And Tom McCartan, his hand pass missed Nick Blakey, all of a sudden enormous pressure. Ran into English, cannon into him. Got the hand pass to Rowbottom. Sydney work it forward to Goulden. He kicks into the pocket, Buddy! Marks just inside the boundary.
Now this is virtually impossible for Buddy.
As the doctor comes out to Nick Blakey.
The Lizard was roadkill on the wing here. Ran straight into Tim English.
He knew what was coming. He put his body on the line. Buddy thought about giving it off.
That's the old bluff. That's a key forward. Looking and going, no, you got someone on you when he hasn't. He has to go but it's going to go right. He has to go left foot banana out.
Wrong side for a left footer.
I think he's capable.
Thought about the snap, then the banana. Now he's thinking about the drop punt. Hard against the boundary, left forward pocket. It's left all the way and, in fact, fails to score.
Yeah, really low percentage with he didn't have enough room. He was kicking from about 30 out to actually draw the ball back like he does.
There was a few guys hanging around Wicks, and then there was Kennedy just out here. If Wicks goes and runs to the forward pocket, his man goes with him and leaves the space. But no, they didn't think of that.
Dogs by 11, 25 travelled in the last. Daniel Long to half-back. Jamara flies, no mark. Falls down to Rampy. Whistle on the play. Non-controlling umpire, Sydney free. Parker was taken high in amongst all of that. So Luke Parker between wing and half forward.
Too crowded.
Just about everyone in the Swans forward 50. Long to the top of the goal square. Bud's down there. Gardner goes to the spoil. Still alive footy. 15 out from the Swans goal. Pack forms. Franklin sits on top of McRae. Says, I'll have it. A ball up. 15 out at full forward for Sydney. It's the Dogs by 11. Momentum with the Swans. 26 travelled in the last.
Franklin's going to do the ruck work here. He just charges into English. Surely go.
No, he's
maybe not familiar with the ruck rules. And English takes an easy free 15 metres out from his defensive goal.
Yeah, they're putting Caleb Daniel in there for that.
Yeah. Had a clear intent, but not quite the right logic in execution. Long kick up towards Tom McCartan. Takes the mark against Norton. He has it at left half forward. Sydney continue to bang the door. Sends it long inside the 50. No one flew in the end. Ronk stayed down. And Teray takes the mark for the Dogs. Kicks out to Rourke Smith, who marks it left half back. He wants to drive it long up the City wing. Almost a chance. Scott couldn't take the mark. Warner gathers for Sydney. He squeezes a kick up towards, well, the right forward pocket. Nothing but Dogs there.
There's 6 of them there to 2.
Richards, Keith, English in the end. English took the mark. He switches play, and Bailey Smith has it.
Had a good night again, Bailey Smith. He heads to the wing. Blakey up in front of Vandermeer. Takes the mark for Sydney, then pushes off Vandermeer, kicks to half forward. The target's Parker, trying to turn to Gardner inside out. Spills to Kennedy, kicks to the top of the goal square. Back there, Keith, he flies, no mark. He gets the free. Late pressure from Wicks again. And a free kick for Alex Keith, who of course has cramp in this moment. 27 minutes travelled in the final term. He'll get the free. Last line of defence. Bulldogs by 11.
Goes short to Richards, who marks in the right back pocket. He's going to hug the boundary line to Hunter. He takes the mark just before a lunging Josh Kennedy got to him.
Sydney need to get a man, especially down back now. Force this kick down the boundary to try to win the ball back.
27 minutes gone. The Swans need 2 goals. Hunter long to the wing. English the target. Jamara reaches over, taps it out of play. And a boundary throw in just short of the 2 benches. Bulldogs leading by 11 points.
Just under 25,000 the roll-up for Thursday night footy. From the boundary throw in, Marty wins the tap. Whacks it away. English back to dispute. Heaney and Dunkley, the 2 number 5s, fighting on for it up. Lets them go. Treloar tries to get a kick out of there, but it's back in the pack to Kennedy, to Mills, and now Warner releases a hand pass to Lloyd, middle of the ground. Kicks for Goulden. He marks it centre half forward.
Short. They get a 50.
Oh, it's going to be 50. Goulden to the top of the goal square, and Errol Goulden will pop this through to bring it within a kick. And with a minute left in the game, there's less than a kick in it. Goulden whacks it up into the top deck. Bulldogs by just 5 with 62 seconds on the game clock. Sydney 9-6-60. The Western Bulldogs 8-17-65. And we got a grandstand finish 29 minutes into the final term.
Could it? Can they?
Oh, I don't know. This centre clearance is so big.
Who they got in there?
Yeah, English is there. Is the only ruckman really, but this is a massive centre clearance. There's still enough time. If Western Bulldogs win this centre clearance, there's still enough time for Sydney to win the ball back and score.
No doubt. But they got to set up behind because he'll go for the punch forward.
The Swans need to be careful here. Mills is in the middle. They're going to give away a 6-6-6.
They've already had a warning.
The Swans have trailed all night. They're down by 5 points with 62 seconds to go. Last gasp footy. Umpire bounces it in the middle. Amadi and English. Amadi got a tap to it. Out towards Liberatore, though. He's first back for the Dogs. High up and under kick to the City wing. Stevens flies. Rourke Smith flies. Neither can take it. McRae back to Liberatore. Retreats back towards Saray. Hard against the boundary. Steps across. Throw it in. I think you might have been pretty happy to see that out of play. It's at right half forward for the Swans, though. They trail by 5 points.
44 seconds on the game clock.
Bulldogs have pushed numbers behind the ball. Aaron Norton's gone to full back pretty much on his own.
One score game, 5 points the Dogs lead.
Doesn't matter now.
English wins it down, Livers onto it. Kicks from the City wing, down to Jamar and a one-on-one. Can't outmark Rampy.
It's
Ball
over.
spills to Vanderbilt.
It's over.
Sweeping hand pass to the bot. Shut the door. Bontempelli kicks it shut. Bulldogs by 11 with 25 seconds to go. 9-17-71. Sydney 9-6-60. 31 minutes travelled final term.
Oh, they just had too many numbers up forward. Actually, we talked about Bont before. If you want a bloke with a ball in your hand, that's him there. But it was an easy one for him. They moved the ball out of the centre of the ground or through the wing and clearly got it out. The Swans were pushing forward, trying to win this game and got caught out the back. And the Bont finishes it off. And that's typical and fitting for such a great player and a captain as he is.
You've got to risk the game to win the game, don't you?
You've got to have a crack.
I mean, they've done nothing wrong there. You've got to have a crack, and the Western Bulldogs were quicker and more responsive to get the ball, to beat their men back inside forward 50. In the end, Bont kicks a pretty easy goal.
Simple.
Of course, it was Marcus Bontempelli who issued the final rights. English and Amadi in the middle. English one down the tap. Free kick going Bulldogs way.
Well, the free kick count must be massive. Seriously.
I think he, in the end, Amadi used his knee.
Did he?
To give away the free kick. So English is going to kick out to the Dogs wing, where Dunkley will take the mark. He gestures further afield just to hang on and to soak the seconds off the clock. Dunkley will send it long towards half forward in the direction of Bontempelli, and the Bulldogs season is up and running in season 2022. They had to outlast the Swans, who kicked 4 goals to 3 in the final term, but the Bulldogs get their first 4 points. They're winners by 11 points.
Bulldogs through and through. Bulldogs fight and Bulldogs roar. We give our very best. 'Cause you can't beat the boys of the Bulldog breed. We're the team of the mighty West.
The Dogs led by 12 points at quarter time, by 25 points at half time, before leading by 18 points. The Swans got within 5 points when Errol Goulden kicked a goal with 62 seconds remaining, and Marcus Bontempelli with a goal at the other end. Cody Waitman booted 3 for the winners. Individuals for Ugelhagen, Wallace, Bontempelli, Vandermeer, Norton and Keith. Meanwhile for the Swans, 2 to Franklin, 2 to Hayward. Individuals to McLean, Heaney, Wicks, Goulden and Ronk. The Bulldogs winners in round 3.
Red, white and blue. We come out snarling. Bulldogs through and through. Bulldogs fight and Bulldogs roar. We give our very best. 'Cause you can't beat the boys of the Bulldog breed. We're the team of the mighty West. 'Cause you can't beat the boys of the Bulldog breed. The team of the mighty
It wasn't the most pretty game. 9 goals, 17 for the Western Bulldogs, but they get the 4 points, and at the end of the day, that's all Luke Beveridge will care about. 9-17-71 to the Swans, 9-6-60 in front of 24,325 fans for Thursday night footy to kickstart round 3 of the AFL. The thoughts of Brent Harvey and Mark McClure, your experts on ABC Sport.
Well, the Dogs were absolutely on top most of the day, and we all understand that. But I love their first half where they just restricted the opposition to 0 scores almost, to 1 goal 3 and 9. And in the first quarter it was 1 goal 3 to 9, and in the second quarter it stayed the same. So for 2 quarters they kept them to 9 points and limited scoring shots. It was a mammoth effort. They needed to get a victory. They wanted to get a victory. They were desperate for after their last 2 games they lost. And that was, they set it up with that defensive effort. But then in the end, when they were challenged in the third quarter, they wanted to get some scores, and they did so. And away they went and started to separate themselves. But little challenge again came back from the Swans. They don't give up. They still keep at it. They made a lot of mistakes tonight. Messed up a few little bits and pieces here and there, and they really put off their game by the first half. They were poor, they were ordinary. I just couldn't believe what they were doing. They just locked them down. They wouldn't let them have any free ball. It was a really good performance by the Dogs. And in the end, they prevailed, but only just by 11 points after leading by a hell of a lot at one stage. Was it 27 at one stage, or 26 or something like that was the number? Yep. 26 or 27, and they fought back and made a game of it. It was exciting. It was good. You can see they got some character, and you can see both sides have got enough character to win games. But the Dogs prevail, their first victory for the season, and good on them. Well done.
And it's the one that needed to happen because, like I said before the game, if they don't win that one, they're searching next week, and you start searching, you start thinking about things that, and you get away from what you're about. You get away from your structure, you get away from your game plan, you get away from everything because you're just worried about the end result. And the end result will take care of itself, as we know, Sellers, if you do everything right throughout the week, throughout the game. So credit to Sydney as well. I thought they were fantastic, the way they hung in there. 1 goal to half-time. We don't see that very often. I think they kicked 34 goals before tonight. Yeah. The highest.
That's the best defensive thing you'll ever see. Kicking the 1 goal to half time. They kicked 34.
And you mentioned it. You picked it up really early, which was fantastic. But they got repeat inside 50s because when they kicked it out, Keith was there to mark it. I'm not sure how many marks Keith had. I thought he was fantastic. He's had 12 marks. Every time it looked like the ball exited their forward 50, Keith would mark it and launch it back in. So I thought they were really good in that area. You can't do that without forward pressure. Hagen didn't touch the ball a lot, but what he did, he provided a contest, and he did a lot of good things.
That was good for him, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It wasn't a game where he's kicked 4 or 5, but I reckon he can walk away from that, and I reckon Luke Beveridge will walk away from that and go, you know what? If he puts pressure on like that, he can play in his football team.
Yeah, it's just an unusual thing where he punched the ball away down.
Yeah, that was a bit funny, a bit weird, a bit funny, but
yeah, but he was on his own. The bloke fell away, and all of a sudden, but he'll get better. That's the point. It's about getting better and understanding what your teammates can do and help you.
He's had seven touches, 2 marks, kicked a goal.
It's not quite enough. We know that.
No, it's not enough, but
he'll get better.
Yes, absolutely.
I just like what they did. Love what they did. And it's simple. It was a simple game. It was difficult to watch because it's like a 110 game in the second. You look at the scoreboard, you go,
it was
they all have scored?
Well, they had 10 more inside 50s too, the Western
Bulldogs.
I know
they did.
And they had 11 more scoring shots. And really, they should have won that game by 30
comfortably.
Plus. 30 plus. Sydney hung in there, but the Western Bulldogs led them. You don't see that very often, 9 goals, 17.
They're an interesting team to look on as a 3-week sort of whole body worth of work so far, given obviously they had the shortest start by a couple of weeks at that because of the week before the grand final. So they didn't get back till later than every other team. They led Melbourne at half-time in round 1. And then last week they kicked 2-7 in the last quarter but had 25 scoring shots against Carlton. Tonight they had 26 scoring shots. They were a little wayward on both occasions. So it's interesting to sort of stack it all up, and they're a 1-2 team, but I imagine they'll keep getting better as the season progresses.
They got Richmond next week. which will be an interesting game, and I think they'll cover them quite comfortably.
Did they kick 8 in a row against Melbourne? I think Melbourne kicked the first 4.
Yeah, they did.
Bulldogs kicked the next 8, and then Melbourne kicked the next 4 after that, or something like that. But it takes a good team to do that. The other thing, Sellers, the other thing, you look at the stats. I know our game's not about stats, but if you let the Western Bulldogs, Dunkley 31, Bailey Smith 31, Hunter 28, Dale 27, Treloar 27, McRae 24, Bontempelli 21. If you let that happen, 9 times out of 10, I reckon you're going to win.
Let me tell you
or the
why.
Western Bulldogs are going to win.
Because last week against the Blues, they got absolutely smashed, and Luke Beveridge would have grabbed hold of them all and said, "Hey, listen, this is your last chance," and got a lot of them together, and they played well.
Flip over to Sydney's team. Lloyd 29, backman. Blakey 25, backman. Parker 22. Gordon plays as a high half forward. Mills is a bit of a tagging role. So they're all over him in the midfield.
The Western Bulldogs winners by 11 points. Let's join the Dogs with Mitch Cleary.
Some pretty happy people in this room, boys. Their first win of the season. Get it back to 1 and 2. Just linking arms. Mitch Wallace, ecstatic. His first match for the Bulldogs for the season. He gets to sing the song. Just linking arms here in the Dogs' rooms. Winners in front of more than 24,000 people.
The Bulldogs winners by 11 points, 9-17-71 to the Swans 9-6-60. So as you touched on, the Western Bulldogs take on Richmond next week, then North Melbourne and Adelaide. So a good tester against the Tigers after Richmond's good effort the week before against GWS, and then they'll hope to get their season rolling as they get a bit more consistency amongst their playing group. Their forward 50 entries are still an area of concern.
I thought you were going to go somewhere else then. After Richmond, they played North Melbourne. I think you were going to say it was an easy
Not at
kill
all.
or something.
Not at all.
No, let's not go there. No, you're right. They've got a little bit to work on because 9 goals, 17, sometimes you can be unlucky and kick that. Other times there is method to it. The way they'll have a look at their maps and see the way they enter the forward 50. Can they lower their eyes? Are they going too wide? Are they going too deep? Are they getting shallow entries? There's all these little things that they'll go and dissect as the forward group, as the midfield group, and they'll come out with a plan again next week that's going to rectify their goal kicking, and hopefully they can turn that around because, 17 goals, 9 looks completely different, doesn't it?
Sure does.
Are we good to go down to the Bulldogs rooms in a moment or so? Alex Keith is going to join us. He's had some good moments in his career, hasn't he, playing state cricket and able to kick his 3rd goal tonight. Really, it was a crucial stage for the Western Bulldogs.
Judging by the way your state's going clinchy in the Sheffield Shield final, he may think he's made the right decision. Big day for the WA boys with the bat.
I wonder if he had much to do with Warney in his time with Victoria. We might ask him about that. Tim English, his importance into this Western Bulldogs side. I know you guys kind of touched on it a little bit, but 24 disposals, 28 hitouts, 8 clearances from a big man. It's just that support he needs around the ground, isn't he? Because he's being asked to do a lot at the moment.
He is, but I think he's developing into a really good player. Not only a good ruckman, but a really good player. I think we've seen numerous of times when he goes forward, he takes a clunk and he can kick a goal. So I think he's developing on an upward trend. It's going to be, or see him in a couple of years being a really, really good ruckman, if not up there with the better ones in the competition.
Dogs snap a 4-game losing streak at the venue as well, so they hadn't won here since the latter stages of last year.
Yep.
It's obviously their first win since the prelim, and they avoid going 0-3, which is not where you want to be. The Dogs have never recovered from an 0-3 start to make the finals, and they don't have to worry about that this season at 1-2, obviously, after 3 weeks.
Luke Beveridge also with his 163rd game, so passing Charlie Sutton and Rodney Eade on 162. So Ted Whitten, the only man to have coached more games at the Western Bulldogs with 212. So a good night for the Dogs in the end, winners by 11 points. So they led by 12 points at quarter time, by 25 points at halftime, having kicked 1 goal 7. Sydney failed to score in that second quarter. So that'll be the part that John Longmire will no doubt focus a fair bit of the review on, by 18 points at three-quarter time and eventually running out 11-point winners. So the Swans, with the quick turnaround from last Friday night, the events of the big occasion with Lance Franklin, it's just moments in their forward 50 where it just didn't quite look right tonight, did it?
Yeah, it didn't. You need someone to pop up and kick a goal or two. Heaney's been that man in the first 2 games. He didn't hit the scoreboard. No, he kicked one, did he?
Yeah.
Heaney gets 1 goal tonight. Franklin only gets a couple. They didn't really have much more.
It was stifled by
yeah,
the opposition.
There wasn't a lot in that second quarter where they didn't score, Clinchy. How many inside 50s did they have?
Let's have a look. Second quarter.
So they've had 8.
Had 8.
8, okay. So there's not too many opportunities to score. You think if you go in 8 inside 50s, you should get a little look at the scoreboard, though. Unfortunately, again, they would have been poor entries too, I'm tipping.
Against Geelong last week, they went at 35%.
Yeah, okay.
Not now.
So the Bulldogs winners by 11 points. Let's join Mitch Cleary back down in the Bulldogs rooms.
Thanks, boys. Alex Keith. They were going pretty hard late in that final term. How much of a relief is it to hold on?
Yeah, big time, Mitch. Thanks, Tom. Obviously, club under a bit of pressure after the first couple of weeks. So Sydney been on fire and moved the ball really quickly when they're up and going. So some hairy moments in the last quarter, but I think I think well deserved from our boys just to hang in there, and it's obviously a big win for us.
Yourself, you had a few big moments. There's a few people getting around you to congratulate you just in the last few moments. Take us through that goal. You're 3rd in AFL footy and 1st since 2020. I don't think too many more important than that one late for the Bulldogs tonight.
Yeah, I think the ball landed on my foot horizontal, so the ball drop was pretty naughty, and I've been reminded of that a few times. But yeah, I'm just obviously pretty happy it went through.
We've all seen the vision of Buddy Franklin and what he's achieved in the last week. Just take us through what it's like going one-on-one with him at times that you were forced to tonight when he's going at full pace like we saw running back towards goal.
Yeah, just an amazing athlete, and that goal he kicked from the pocket or near the 50 was pretty special. But Ryan Gardner did a fantastic job tonight. Obviously, we want to try and support as a system, but he battled really well and made it hard for Franklin all night, which was fantastic.
I'll throw you upstairs to Corbin Middlemass, Matt Clinch, Brent Harvey and Mark McClure.
Alex, your defensive effort in the first half was unbelievable to keep them to 1 goal 3 for 2 quarters. That was incredible. Was that a plan at the start of the game?
Yeah, I think fantastic defence. We were trying to get up the ground and try and pressure them as much as we can. Obviously, I think, what were we, something like 3 goals 10 or something like that in the second quarter, which is obviously a bit disappointing, and I reckon that can sort of be in the back of your mind a little bit as well as you enter the second half. So they obviously got a bit of a run on there, but it was great to be able to steady things at the end.
And then the end of the day, last couple of weeks, your midfield hasn't been as powerful as it was tonight. They were much better tonight, and the games are won on what the midfield power is.
Yeah, absolutely. I haven't seen the contested ball numbers at the end of the game, but they were up there at half time, and I think that was a pretty good reflection of our sort of control around the ball and at the stoppages, which as you said, goes a long way.
Alex, tell us about Tim English. I thought he was fantastic, especially early in the game. Hickey was also good, but English looked like he was pushing forward to make Hickey a little bit more accountable than he normally has been. Was that a little bit of a plan going into it? Because he ended up with 24 touches, 8 marks, and I thought he impacted the game really, really well.
Yeah, we're all really happy with how Tim's tracking. He's playing a huge role for us there. He doesn't, there's a couple that chop out for him and give him a little bit of a spell, but he's playing big minutes in the middle, and some of his courage, I think, is underrated as well. He's happy to go back with the fly of the ball, and as you said, push forward, and he's a lovely finisher as well. So his ruck craft is coming on in leaps and bounds as well, which makes a big difference around the source.
Yeah, last one from me. Mitch Wallace, I mean, he didn't have big numbers. He started as the sub, but he obviously means a lot to your football club. He kicks that goal. Nearly every player gets around him. It's a good story, and your boys love having him around.
Oh, absolutely. So special. Amazing clubman, and as you said, like his on-field stuff, he's tough to play on. You've almost got to play a key back on him because he's so strong, and he's really good at ground level as well. So, yeah, he played a really important role there, and some really important contests for us.
Alex, it's Corbin Middlemass here. You mentioned that the club was under a little bit of pressure leading in. Obviously, 0-2, you hadn't won since the prelim. Did it feel particularly sharp coming into tonight, knowing that you were staring down the barrel of a zip 3 start to the season?
Yeah, there wasn't any talk of that. I think that Marcus and Bevo as well have both been really calm and composed. I think the second half against Carlton last week was a good sample of where we want to go and what we're trying to re-establish this year. And there was some good calm sort of words during the week, and there's still that confidence there, which is really important.
It's always a fascinating watch. The beaten grand finalists of the year before, you were a quarter and a half away from having a parade up midway through the third quarter in the grand final, and obviously we know what happened thereafter. How did you process that over summer in your reviews and everything that you did to come back and obviously start the journey again? How did you, I guess, able to process what happened?
Yeah, it's a difficult one. There's no going back, is there? Melbourne, obviously, a fantastic side, and what they did to us after that midway of the third quarter was pretty brutal. So we've got to live with that, but all we can do is try and put our best foot forward this year, and our first win's really important.
Do you watch it back, or do you just completely let it go and move on when the team meets again?
Sorry, is that the grand final?
Yes.
Yeah. I've seen bits and pieces, but it'd be pretty hard to sit through, to be honest.
Yep, but the coach doesn't use it as a tool, I guess, over summer to spotlight certain things?
No, not in particular. Maybe some references here and there, but nothing really overly structured like a week-to-week review would be.
Alex, it's Matt Clench. Obviously, your back 50 hasn't had a lot of luck in terms of your defenders. Hayden Crozier last week and Zane Cordy tonight with concussion. Did you sort of get a feel as to how bad that might be, and how did you readjust in the second half?
Yeah, it's difficult. Zane plays a really important role for us back there. He's a really reliable contributor in defence, and he was sorely missed. So hopefully he'll be okay. But I thought the boys like Bailey Dale and a couple of others played that third tall role really well, and we were able to hold up and not cough up too many contested marks inside our D50.
Obviously, it's been a big 24 hours in the cricketing world with the memorial service for Shane Warne. What's more nerve-wracking, when you're having a shot at the 17-minute mark knowing the Swans are charging, or when you get thrown the ball in a BBL semi-final?
I don't think I'd like to go back there too often. It was pretty brutal what Sean Marsh did to me back there, which some of the Doggies boys remind me of. I've got to go in for the review, guys. Thanks very much.
Good timing. Thanks, Alex. Thanks for joining us on ABC Radio. Alex Keith joining us from the Bulldogs rooms. Winners by 11 points.
It's amazing how you hear the background noise just completely change. It's sort of everyone's sitting around having a conversation and then dead quiet, and he's whispering by the end of it, knowing that everyone's already in the meeting.
That's the pull that the senior coach has.
Yes.
As soon as he says everybody in, everyone just goes bang, and it is. It's dead quiet. Everybody talking on the outskirts just go whoop, and it's just like in.
I thought I had 2 questions left, so I asked him about the semi-final where I think he went for 23 runs. Didn't get to ask him about playing with Shane Warne, which no doubt would be a life.
You were trying to make a mess of him, were you?
No, I was more just asking for his experiences, but I had to work out whether he could remember the occasion first, and unfortunately...
It's not much fun losing your grand final either.
No, it's not.
It's terrible.
So what are the markers on that you want to see from the Western Bulldogs? Because in terms of recruiting, we know they've targeted Tim O'Brien, who we haven't seen yet. Sam Darcy's going to come in but won't play for a lot of this season with a foot injury. Jamara Ugle-Hagan showed some promising signs tonight, but they've almost thrown him in out of sort of desperation with Josh Bruce missing, that they need some more bigger targets in their forward 50.
I think he plays every week, by the way. Maybe not every week. He needs to perform to hold his spot, but I think he complements Norton. I liked what I seen tonight. I really did. I really liked what I seen.
He covers the ground well.
7 possessions. He got up. He competed. Yeah. He tackled. He chased. He'll have a game where he kicks his 3 or 4, but he doesn't need to do that to hold his spot every single week. I think you're right, Sellers. I think last year, maybe an error by not playing him another 6, 7, 8 games. And you don't want to give games away either. We know that. We know that.
No. You don't give games away. No. You've got to earn your games.
Yeah, you do.
And to me, he was obviously too immature at this stage. Today he played. I thought he had some moments. but he's got to put himself in there more and more and more.
Absolutely.
And if he doesn't do that, you know what, he's not going to make it.
Yep.
So that's it in a nutshell. And it's a hard business, this.
Yep.
It's difficult. And they don't give them to you.
Can you expand on what you're saying about, and you've both had this experience, you've both had success, obviously, on Grand Final Day, but you've both suffered Grand Final defeat. The role of the team that loses on Grand Final Day, and the Dogs, unfortunately, since 2000, are the 7th side to lose by more than 50 points.
Yeah.
None of the other 6 have come back to even win a final the following year, and 4 of them haven't even made it after being heavily beaten on Grand Final Day. How do you process it and come back again after, I guess, what they experienced in the last day of last season?
Oh, they got smashed in that third quarter, fourth quarter. It was a really brutal finish to their season. And they'd get on the plane going home and they'd be moping, let me tell you. And they'd be don't want to see the review. Do not want to watch it because every little flaw you have is shown up. Okay, that's part of the business. The other side of it is that, gee whiz, Melbourne were really good too. You know, and sometimes you've got to remember the opposition can play. Mm-hmm. You know, when I'm playing against mugs every week and you get to the grand final, you got to have the best of the best. So there's no shame in losing one. But
is it a big mental hurdle, though?
Yes, it is.
Yep.
It is. It is a bit of mental hurdle.
Yeah.
It gets you. You know, you go, gee, well, how come I should have done better here? I should have done better there. But you've got to actually clear your mind.
Yeah, I think injecting... See, the Western Bulldogs, I won one earlier, and I was with such a good group, and I just... My question to them, and it wasn't to them, so my question was, I hope they're still hungry, because I haven't won one. I need all them for me to win one. You get to 98, and... We probably should have won on the day. We kicked terrible, like the Western Bulldogs tonight.
There you go.
You lose it, and then you think, that's my opportunity to be a premiership player. That is my opportunity gone. Please, boys, be hungry, because I'm super hungry. We injected a lot of new players, Scotty Welsh, Byron Pickett, Shannon Grant. We had all these guys that didn't win one in 96.
Yep.
So I think that's a little bit of a... Injecting new players to that team that hadn't played in the winning grand final, hurting to win to lose one last year. Now they're still here and they say, this is mine. I need to win one.
Let me tell you, David Parkin told us all, I will change the side by 25%.
Wow.
And now, what does that mean to me? That means I'm on notice.
Yep.
And if you don't keep your standards up to where they're supposed to be and get better, you won't be playing. And let me tell you, it's a good little lesson to learn. At 25% change, that's 5 or 6 players. That's all it is. Nothing special. But the youth come through, and you need to get better players. That's what it's about.
Yep. They only had 7 tonight from that 2016 premiership team over Sydney. So
the changeover was big, isn't it?
Yeah, that was essentially 5 years ago.
Yeah, and they were young then, real young.
It happens quick. It happens quick. Every year there's 4 or 5 that lose their spot, 4 or 5 that come in. 3 or 4 play, 3 or 4 are out. Over 5 years, it happens really quickly, and you sort of forget about it. You look around, and there's only 7 of you left, and you go, "Oh wow,
7 of you left."
Yeah. It's sort of like that.
You're still here, are you?
Okay. I was there for a little while. I think that's what they said to me anyway. So I was on the.
But it must be deflating early in the season where you think. You've
got
to
to start the climb again,
whole journey again for everything. And they were, 19 points up midway through the third quarter, and it fell away, as you said, Sellers, so badly. Like 16 of the last 17 they concede and end up getting humiliated in the final quarter, and it doesn't count for anything now. They've got 4 points, and they're chasing the other 8 that they've lost, and we go into round 4.
This is the truth. This is what it's like when you come back, because you've lost 2 games against pretty good sides, and then the Sydney come out, they're pretty good too, and you have to battle. And you got to fight. And I thought they did tonight. I thought that was a turnaround for them.
There were some moments tonight.
Changed from their normal slick movement of the ball without too much touch. There was some, sort of bulldog stuff, like really tough and in and under, all that sort of stuff. I love that.
I totally agree, because I reckon there was moments tonight, Bontempelli running from the top of the 50 and Spalling at the top of the goal square. I know he's the captain, he does that every week, but I've seen a lot of other things. I liked young Scott. There was some really good acts. English put Lizard on his backside in front of us. There was a couple of great contests there, Sellers, where we looked at each other and went, whoa. Yeah. Like there was some really good things.
Shoulder stuff. It was great stuff.
Yep.
Swans have played 3 top 8 teams from last year, or fellow top 8 teams, the other 7 sides. They played 3 of them in the first 3 weeks to start the season, and they're 2-1. So the draw opens up.
Swans?
Yep. So the draw opens up a little bit for them now. I reckon they would have taken 2-1 after the first 3 weeks.
Yeah, sometimes you look at the draw and say, I don't know if we can win this one. We can't win 5 in a row. But once you start to get your mojo going and get yourself back into the where you're at grand final day, gee whiz, they'll be hard to beat. Melbourne and the Doggies. If they're anywhere near that, they were great.
So if you said the Bulldogs would win tonight and Aaron Norton would kick 1-2, you think, righto, they're going to need a fair few contributors. So they had 7 individual goal scorers. Cody Waitman, importantly, kicked 3 goals. So Josh Bruce is not going to be back until the later stages of the season. He obviously kicked 48 goals last season. So it's going to be a work in progress for the early rounds when every team is so fit. And they're prepared a lot for the best teams from last year. And you feel like the Dogs are just going to have to rattle their way through to the early stages until they find that rhythm and momentum as to what their best combinations are.
Oh, I totally agree, and I actually said before the game, if Norton doesn't kick a little bag, I don't know how they're going to kick a big enough score. I didn't know Sydney would have 1 goal at half-time either, but that's why I think Jamari is so important when Bruce is out, because they fall in front. Norton's not a big animal. He's not a big guy. Yes, he runs and jumps and takes some good grabs, but he's not going to sit there one-on-one and push someone out the way. They fall back on him.
Burma, where would you play Jamara? Where would you play him?
Oh, I think his role is forward.
Okay, yeah, but I meant to learn the game. No, seriously, because sometimes playing up forward's really difficult.
Yeah, it is.
Especially for young kids that aren't really strong.
Yeah, he's not a... Well, are you thinking down back to make him defend?
Yeah, just give him half.
Oh, it's happened a lot of times.
And actually let him to learn the game.
Yep.
Darcy Moore played up forward.
Yeah.
Then he went down back and he turned it into something special. A lot of people do that. And then you can go back up forward because you understand you got strong again, you're all part of it. I know what they do and this is that. He's a very immature player.
Yep. Oh, he's played... How many games has he played?
7.
8
or something.
He's played 7 or 8 games. He's so raw.
But you got to put him out.
No, I understand because that's happened.
And bring him back in.
I've seen it work. I've seen it work so many times. It might be a great thing right now.
Could he play on a wing? He could because he can run.
Well, the makeup of the Western Bulldogs team right now, I think he needs to be forward just to help Norton out because he's capable of kicking a little one, a 3 or 4.
He's got to catch him and punching him away.
Yeah, that's a start.
We need the 3, 2 and 1 for the ABC Football of the Year. Before that, let's just take a quick snapshot of John Longmire.
Injury?
Suspected medial at the moment, so we're not sure what the story is. Yep.
Suspected medial?
Yep.
Not ideal.
No, that'd be fair enough. Be fair comment.
What would you be looking to do on the right?
Well, let's see what it is first before we work out what it is. I mean, it's a suspected medial. I don't know. So,
he has shown obviously some resilience in the past with some knee injuries. Is it, I guess, the hope that he might be able to soldier on?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I'm sort of sitting here at the moment. It's a suspected medial, and that's all I've got. I don't know any more than that. I'll have to wait and see.
John, mindful we need umpires. I know they're trying their best, but the free kick differential was 31 to 14. Do you think it was reflective of the game, or do you think it should have been a bit more even?
I'll have to go back and have a look. What can I say?
We've tried to seek clarification from the umpires department in the next week about some of the adjudication so that you can tell your players whether they're going to the contest in the right way.
I don't know.
The McCartan brothers.
I'm being asked firstly about Tom Hickey and secondly about the umpiring that he wasn't really all that willing to want to enter the debate. I think you feel like it spoke for itself. Some of the ones that have been unlucky for. Did you feel like...
I don't know.
When have you ever sat on the fence?
Oh, a few times when I have to. Anyway, but look, I think they're asking questions after question after question. If he doesn't know, he doesn't know. So forget about it. He doesn't want to talk about it. That's what he's trying to say.
How long's a medial?
I don't know what it is.
8 to 12.
8 to 12, yeah. Depending on how bad it is, yeah.
It's a fascinating night for Sydney in their review too, where they went scoreless for an entire quarter.
Incredible.
And they were 5 points down with 25 seconds left in the game.
See, all these stats about how quick they move the ball have got around to everyone in the competition. And guess what? Luke Beveridge blocked them off.
Slowed them up.
Yep.
They slammed them completely.
The 3, 2 and 1 for the ABC Football of the Year.
Okay.
You got the honours sellers?
Oh, well. I gave Lockie Hunter one vote. I thought he was really, really good. He works through the middle of the ground, and his movement forward into the forward line to help them score. Not much, but they scored at least. It was just terrific. He had 28 possessions, and he had seven marks and 3 tackles in that area. And not an easy position playing that wing from half back to half forward. It's up and back, and it's tough work. I gave 2 votes to Dunkley. I thought he was magnificent. He had 11 tackles, Dunkley. He had 31 possessions, and he's a powerhouse in the middle of the ground, just a real powerhouse. And you don't see him as much as flashy as some of the other guys. I gave 3 to English. I thought he was just the best on the ground by a mile. He had 28 hit-outs. He had 24 disposals. 24 disposals as a ruckman. That's incredible when you think about it. He had marks and tackles. Had 5 tackles as well to go with that. Not too many of those guys tackle at all. So I thought English's game is the best game I've seen him play for some time. I know Hickey left the ground and he was against a lesser type. But still, you got to play the game how you got to play it. And
he challenged him early.
He was terrific.
He challenged him early. I thought it was fantastic.
Terrific.
3 to English, 2 to Dunkley, and 1 to Hunter in the ABC Footballer of the Year. The West Tigers led 6-2 with a minute to go. The Gold Coast Titans pinched it 8 points to 6 in the opening game of round 4 in the NRL. And in the cricket, Australia having been sent in after Pakistan won the toss and elected to bowl. Australia are 1 for 130 in the 20th over. Travis Head on 65 from 52 deliveries. Aaron Finch made a duck and Ben McDermott on 59. And Australia in the Women's World Cup will take on England in the final on Sunday. So England advancing through against South Africa. Friday night footy, double header. Not sure that's going to work or catch on.
Do you know why? Like, is there a...
I think the reason is because the AFLW Grand Final was meant to be on the Saturday. The theory was that we'll play a back-to-back match on a Friday night, maximise the crowd in attendance for the showdown. And I think they'd like to put it on a Friday night. The big question is, would it capture the nation nationally?
Yep.
And in the end, by starting it an hour later, they've meant that really no one can watch both matches.
Yeah, they clearly want to trial it. I mean, they're getting closer to the end of the broadcast agreement. In the first 9 weeks, we've only got the time slots and the days for the first 9 rounds. This is the first of 3. So one is Good Friday, where there's an afternoon game and a later game. But there's also another occasion later in the year where this is going to happen. There's a Friday night game in Perth and a Friday night game in Adelaide. So we're going to have 2 interstate on the same day. So this is essentially across the first 9 weeks, we're going to get 3 looks at it as to how the doubleheader on Friday is going to pan out.
So Good Friday is North and the
Bulldogs, yep.
Yeah, so it'd be interesting to see how many you get.
Yeah, I think the crowds have actually been okay of previous years. Hopefully the Kangas win a few games in the next couple of weeks.
Actually, I think they're getting harder to play against, aren't they?
Oh, I think that's the
key.
Yeah, absolutely it is. If they do that, we're not happy because you want to win. Everybody wants to win, but you know
you're not up to that yet. But it's coming.
People weren't even happy with you winning last week.
Yeah, I know.
Cops that you didn't win enough or we didn't win by enough.
They forgot that we had 2 of our absolute stars, Davies Uniacke and Taron Thomas, go down as well and played short.
Was Ben Cunnington on the track this week?
Yeah, he was at the football club. It's amazing to see him. He's
which of the big kids is good? Which of the real kids are really good?
Oh, obviously the number 1 pick, Horn Francis.
Oh, he looks great.
Goes okay. Yeah, I'm a big rat for the boys from last year as well. Lazaro, Powell, Will Phillips. Unfortunately, he's got a couple more weeks off, I think. But I'm a big rat for those 3 boys. I think there's something there.
All right, we're out of time. The interrogation's over. Boomer, great to have you back.
Oh, it's great to be back.
Good luck for North Melbourne, who travel north to take on the Brisbane Lions on Saturday night. A win's a win. Ask the Bulldogs. 9 goals, 17. Victorious by 11 points over the Sydney Swans. On behalf of the Grandstand team, enjoy your night. We look forward to Friday night footy tomorrow night.